got a pretty active agenda. We have a few, start off with some public hearings. Then we have our reorganizational meeting and then our regular meeting. Attorney Morrell is on the phone and Councilman DeLeis is on my phone also, so I have a three-way call going on. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody and wish everyone a Happy New Year. Secondly, I just want to remind people and the public who will be watching this that obviously COVID-19 is raging in our community, in our county, in the Finger Lakes region, and just want to encourage people to keep staying safe and wear your mask and keep your distance and so forth. Hopefully there's going to be some light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not quite there yet. So, it's something we'll talk about tonight. Possibly we might have to go back to remote meetings for a few months until things quiet down, but the board will make that decision before we leave tonight. Just want to remind some people what we, at our meetings, public meetings, we maintain that everybody treats each other with respect. Certainly, we all have differences of opinion on certain issues, and issues that are controversial, and issues that are far-reaching, but we need to treat everybody with respect and listen to other people, not interrupt them, and certainly, as I said, be as respectful as we possibly can. And just want to remember that if you remember back in January, I said I would never hold my stopwatch for people who are petitioning the board, but we really need to keep within the time frame of 3 to 5 minutes. I appreciate that as much as you possibly can do that. It's just very long nights sometimes, and as we tell our kids, it's getting over an hour. Some people lose interest, so we're just trying to streamline things as much as possible. But I'll never hold a clock to you. I just ask you to be conscious of that. So, thank you. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. This time I'd like to make a motion that we open the public hearing for proposed local law number 1 for 2021. Have a second, please? Thank you. Local law number 1 is dealing with, public hearing before the town board held today, Water Street, 35 Water Street, regarding the adoption of a proposed local law of the town of Seneca Falls. This law would amend section 266-2A, Seneca Falls Town Code to increase the sliding scale income eligibility for senior citizens under section 467 of the real property tax. This is something the board has decided to go into. This is hopefully a county-wide adoption of all the municipalities and the school districts. This would kick in March. It has no impact on 2021 taxes, but this would be something that needs serious consideration and approval. Hopefully, it just makes it more conducive for our senior citizens. That hasn't been changed in quite a long time, and this expands the limits to help our senior citizens. So, the public hearing is open. Any comment from the public? With that, I make a motion that we close public hearing number 1. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Second by Dave DeLeis. I make a motion that we open up public hearing number 2. Can I have a second, please? Second by Don. Public hearing number 2 is kind of related. This is related for extending the exemptions for our veterans in the community. This local law is 26-10A to increase the sliding scale of property for persons with disabilities and limited income under section 459-C of the real property tax. With that, public hearing number 2 is open. Any public comment for that? Thank you. I make a motion that we close public hearing number 2. Second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Dave DeLay has voted aye. I make a motion that we open public hearing number 3 for the Town Board of Seneca Falls, held on this day, 2021 at 6 o'clock. Local law 3 of the Town of Seneca Falls. This local law would add certain sections to Chapter 158-6 of the Seneca Falls Town Code entitled Flood Damage Prevention by adding sections 158-6A, 6, 7, and 8. Copies of the law are available in the town clerk's office. Any public comment on this?
You need a second.
I need a second, I'm sorry. I made a motion. Don, second? Thank you. This local law refers, basically, when the town, or when the village dissolved and the town became the Town of Seneca Falls, there was never any provision to take on the flood insurance and designate the Town of Seneca Falls as the recipient of the flood insurance program. So it's been under the village of Seneca Falls, which obviously is not in existence. So this just is kind of paperwork to now establish and recognize the Town of Seneca Falls eligibility for the flood insurance. Any comments on public hearing number 3 from the public? Okay, when we get to new business, board members, we will, as you know in your packet, we'll have to do a secret and designate the town as the lead agency for this local law, and we'll take care of that under new business. With that, I make a motion that we close public hearing number 3. Have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Dave DeLay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. We're now going to go to our reorganizational meeting. Town Clerk Greer, would you please take roll call?
Okay. Mike Ferrara.
Here.
Doug Avery.
Present.
Don Dyson. Here. Steve Churchill.
Here.
And Dave DeLaylis. Here. He's on the phone. Okay, we have four.
Okay. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, we have some appointments in our reorganizational meeting. Attorney for the town, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Patrick Morrell as attorney for the town. Can I have a second for that, please?
Second.
Any discussion? I think all of you received Pat's letter, which displayed his wishes to continue as our attorney, and has enjoyed our relationship and looks forward to 2021. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried, 5-0.
Thank you, everybody.
Pat, you're welcome. Congratulations. I don't know if you blurted out there, but we did include a 15% decrease in pay, okay? I don't know if you caught that or not. All right. Nikki, I got to do a motion and second for all of them, right?
Yeah, you can do them like in groups, like this group.
Okay. All right, I need a motion to appoint Boland and Code as special counsel attorney. Have a second, please.
Second.
Second by Doug Avery. Any discussion here? Boland and Code handles our legal work with SMI landfill. And they're in the middle of an Article 78 at the current time. And they've been dealing with our environmental issues at the town level. We have a very competent lawyer, David Hugh from Boland and Code, and look forward to continuing that relationship. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Nobody opposed. Carried. I'll make a motion that we appoint Kathleen Langford as town clerk. Have a second, please? Thank you. Any discussion?
Deputy.
Deputy town clerk, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Debbie just had a heart attack.
Keep you one. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. So carried. I make a motion that we appoint Melissa Howe as deputy town clerk. Have a second? Second by Doug Avery. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. I make a motion that we appoint Linda Marzan as deputy town clerk / tax collection. Second, please. Second by Don. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. So carried. I make a motion that we appoint Eileen Schmidt, Ashley Van Dorn, and Courtney Adams as court clerk. Second, please. Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. So carried, 5-0. I make a motion that we appoint Don Dyson as deputy supervisor. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. I make a motion that we appoint Timothy Pagano as deputy highway superintendent. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I make a motion that we appoint Brian DeVay as deputy wastewater treatment plant operator. Second, please. Second by Don. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I make a motion that we appoint James Barricchio as deputy water treatment plant operator. Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. I make a motion that we appoint Fred Peterman as deputy water / sewer maintainer. Second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Thank you. I make a motion that we appoint Nicoletta Greer as assistant to the zoning officer. Can I have a second, please? Second by Don. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried, 5-0. I make a motion that we appoint Melissa Howe to secretary to planning and zoning board. Second, please.
Second.
Second by Doug. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried. I make a motion that we appoint Nicoletta Greer to registrar of vital statistics. Second, please. Second by Don. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. I make a motion that we appoint Catherine Langford, deputy registrar of vital statistics. Can I have a second, please? Second by Dave Delaz. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. So carried. I make a motion that we appoint Nicoletta Greer as records management officer. A second, please. Second by Don. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. So carried. I make a motion that we appoint Dylan Jenkins as dog control officer. Have a second, please.
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. I make a motion that we appoint Charles Luffman as member of the Recreation Commission and Christina Abe as the alternative, and Stuart Keenstro is ex officio for the Recreation Commission. Can I have a second for that, please? Second by David. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. So carried. I make a motion that we appoint Stephen Gleason as a member to the planning board. Do I have a second, please? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. That is to fill in someone who is coming off. I can't remember who, Nikki. And we still have to, I'm sorry. Jeff, thank you, yeah. And we still have to find, Jeff has chosen not to continue, and we still have to find alternates for one spot, I believe. I make a motion that we appoint Catherine Lutz as alternate to the member, or as a member of the planning board. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. I make a motion that we appoint Timothy Hopkins as a member of the zoning board of appeals. Can I have a second for that one? Second by Dave. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. And I make a motion that we appoint Frank Dijon as an alternate to the member of the zoning board of appeals. A second for that, please.
Second.
Second by Don. Any question? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So we are advertising for an alternate for the planning board, and we are advertising for an alternate to the zoning board of appeals. Anybody here is interested, please let the town clerk know of your wishes. I make a motion that we appoint Charles Genko as to the Heritage Preservation Commission. Can I have a second for that, please? Second by Doug. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. We're also looking for 2 people to fill in as alternates for that commission as well. So anybody interested, please. I make a motion that we appoint Kay Ireland as cemetery to the Cemetery Commission. Have a second for that, please. Second by David. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I make a motion that we appoint Fran Barberry to the position of town historian. Have a second for that, please. Second by Doug. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Congratulations to Fran. She was selected as Wonderful Life recipient this past winter. So congratulations. Engineering firm, we put out a RFP for engineering services that were due December 21st. We also put out an RFP for labor law services, and we are open those up at a special meeting on the 30th. And Doug and Steve and myself are looking over each of the proposals, and we will have a recommendation for our February meeting for that. So as the month continues, B&L will continue to do our engineering services, and Romer Group will still be doing our services for any legal work as far as labor law throughout the month of January. And then in our regular meeting in February, as I said, we will make those appointments. Okay, I make a motion that we appoint the Bandano Group to be town auditors. Can I have a second for that, please? Second by Don. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Make a motion that we establish the first Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. for our regular board meetings. Can I have a second for that, please? Second by Don. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Make a motion that we appoint Community Bank, Five Star Bank, M&T Bank, First Niagara Bank, and Lions National Bank as banks to do business with for town business. Have a second for that, please. Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. I'd like to make a motion to appoint or designate the Finger Lakes Times as the official town newspaper. Have a second for that, please. Second by David. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Make a motion that the current IRS mileage rate will now be .56 or 56 cents per diem rate. That's down from 57.5 cents, I believe. So that would be the current rate adopted by the town. Any second for that, please?
Second.
All in favor? Or any discussion, I should say. All in favor? Please say aye. Thank you. Make a motion that we adopt the procurement policy for 2021. A second for that, please. Second by David. If you remember, this policy was worked on throughout 2020 with the help of Frank Mazuka and some other people on the committee, and we're part of our procedures, we have to adopt adopt a policy each year. This one is working very well, and so I'd like to move forward with this policy. Any discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Thank you. Committee assignments. I am making the following committee assignments. I apologize, I didn't have a chance to reach out to everybody. Hopefully, if you have an issue, let me know. Assessment, Steve Churchill, Chairperson, Don Dyson. Economic Development, Doug Avery, Chairperson, Mike Ferrara. Recreation, Don Dyson, Chairperson, Dave DeLeas. Highway Public Works, Mike Ferrara, Chair, Doug Avery. Waste Management, Doug Avery, Chair, Steve Churchill. Personnel, Doug Avery, Chair, Dave DeLeas. Website, IT, Mike Ferrara, Chair, Don Dawson. Public Safety, Dave DeLeas, Chair, Steve Churchill. Court, Dave DeLeas, Chair, Steve Churchill. And Water and Sewer, Doug Avery, Chair, Mike Ferrara. Those are the committee appointments for 2021. I want to remind each committee person that please, it's your responsibility to facilitate meeting with the respective department head so that you can be the advocate for that department, you know what's going on, so that we come to the regular meeting. If there's questions and so forth, not only from the department head to answer the questions, but we've already discussed it in a committee, and the committee obviously can recommend moving forward or not moving forward. But we need to meet, and I know COVID has been an issue, but everyone has a computer, everyone has a phone. We still need to facilitate those meetings with the department chairperson. And I've told department chairs, if it has to be at 8 o'clock, because of people's work schedule, then it might be at 8 o'clock. Okay. Am I done? Next?
Almost.
With,
Are you all done with that sheet?
I am. So I'm done with the reorganization
Yep,
meeting.
you're done.
Great. Have a motion to adjourn the reorganizational meeting. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Reorganizational meeting is closed. Have a motion to open the regular meeting for January 5th, 2021. I think second by David. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We have 3 petitioners tonight. Is Todd you here? Todd is not here. Okay. Todd Freeman is a gentleman who is supposed to be here tonight. He represents Solar Farms, which is a company that he wanted to just give you a brief description. You might hear about it, but it's a plan to offer residents almost anywhere from a 10 to 15% reduction in their electric bill. And basically, there's a lot of programs through New York State with solar energy and different brokers and trying to help residents facilitate that, where the solar energy is bought by New York State Gas and Electric and credit is given to residents. It's only available for residents, so you might be seeing something like that coming down the pipe. He was going to be here tonight. I don't know what happened, but he's not, so we'll move on. Our next petitioner is Val Sandless, who from the Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee concerns. Happy New Year, Val.
Happy New Year, everybody.
The Seneca Falls Environmental Action Committee is concerned and appalled that SMI has applied for an expansion with the New York State DEC. Not only would the 50-acre expansion allow Seneca Meadows to operate for an additional 15 years, but it would also allow 6,000 tons of garbage a day to continue until 2040. This proposed expansion is in direct violation of Local Law 3 of 2016, which prohibits solid waste management facilities in Seneca Falls from operating beyond 2025. Seneca Meadows is currently in violation of its host community agreement and Seneca Falls Town Code. Seneca Meadows continues to pollute our air and compromise the health of our community. Despite its attempts to mitigate odors Landfill gas continues to pervade our community. In the last year, area homes, businesses, and schools have been negatively impacted by landfill gas and odors. If an expansion permit is granted, this will likely, most likely, definitely continue for years to come. We cannot let this happen. Every effort must be made to protect and preserve local law 3. First, you must pass tonight's resolution asking the DEC to deny SMI's expansion permit. I know Councilman DeLaylis, you have helped enact local law 3, and I know you'll continue to support it. Councilman Avery and Churchill, you have also been vocal proponents of local law 3. Supervisor Ferrara, in the past, you've stated that you support local law 3. And I'm asking you tonight to also approve the resolution to deny expansion. Councilwoman Dyson, your position on local law 3 has not yet been voiced, at least to me. Now, tonight is the time to do it by passing the resolution, the resolution that would prevent expansion. In addition to the resolution, you must directly contact the DEC and state officials. That is absolutely necessary. So I'm asking that you contact Greg McLean, DEC Region 8 Materials Engineer, David Vitale, DEC Solid Waste Director, Basil Segos, DEC Commissioner in Albany, Senator Pam Helming, and Governor Andrew Cuomo. Ask them not to put corporate interests above the health and quality of life of our Finger Lakes community. Ask them to deny SMI's application for expansion. Tell them that local law 3 will close Seneca Meadows in 2025. Tell them that enough is enough of other people's garbage. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, just as a point of clarification,
Yes.
I respect local law 3 as the law of the town, okay?
Yeah, yes, and I'm asking you to,
I understand what you're asking,
continue to
I
go
just
along
want
with
a
that.
point of clarification.
Yeah, thank you. I've heard you say that before, and I appreciate you
Yep.
say that, and I know you've also said that nobody wants a landfill, including you. So I also appreciate that sentiment.
Correct. Our second petitioner is Mr. Wade. Mr. Wade, welcome. Happy New Year.
Thank you, same to you. My name's Jim Wade. I've been here before, basically on the same subject matter. Just to give a little background, I'm legally blind. I see very little, enough to be able to walk still, but not well. Anyway, I want to talk first thing about sidewalk parking. Now, an incident came up the other day that caused myself and the chief to have a meeting. I thought it was a very productive meeting. We still are to see if the hoped for results continue. But I did discover one thing, because the chief made a comment about they don't know about a lot of these incidents unless there's a complaint. And that's very true, because I happened to stop and speak to a gentleman one day and his wife about their parking. Now, they weren't in violation. They had very, very little room to put their vehicles. But they kept them off the sidewalk and didn't have the noses out in the road, which I thought was admirable. You had to think about doing that every time. Now, I can see these vehicles at the moment. I just want to prepare for a time when I can't. Or that I turn my head the wrong way at the wrong moment. He, like I said, the chief and all his patrolmen have been excellent on trying to assist me in this. The other part, since I've been thinking about this, is that there's handicap parking also. Now, there's a program, I don't know if it still exists, but it did in 18, a grant program to get a volunteer to go around and identify vehicles parked illegally in handicap zones. They don't get directly involved, they just take a photograph. That photograph is presumed to be prima facie evidence of the violation. I think that might assist in keeping a lot of those spots clear of violators. And maybe some others. I know if you go out to, anybody goes to Walmart can see it any day of the week. People are in so much of a hurry and they think they have the right to park in those places. As thinking this was a great law back in the early 80s when it was passed, I've always been a promoter of it and had the chance to talk to some people who were denied those parking lot positions by violators. They gladly welcome any assistance in keeping those clear. The Chief and I also discussed what we could do to get people who were not aware that they shouldn't park on the sidewalk, how we could get that done. The Chief said social media. I don't know how about that because I'm from the age group that sort of missed social media to a degree. But since then, I've thought of the Finger Lakes Times as your news organization of, again, volunteers placing pamphlets or notifications on windshields of cars that are in violation, or a mail program. Then there's no excuse. The law is very specific, and I think it's the greatest law that the legislators may have ever passed in New York State. It's not ambiguous at all. It basically says, you will not park on the sidewalk, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't know many laws that are that way. I think that's pretty much it. I want to thank you for any attention you paid to this. I want to at least give my support to Val.
Thank you.
I don't know if you're going to be successful or not, but I wish you all the best in your efforts. I would like people just to answer one question. Anybody here or in the town guarantee me that stuff's not going to leach? That it isn't already leaching?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, sir. Okay,
Go to the floor.
I'm sorry, sure.
I mean, should I ask if anybody else to what Pat said several months ago?
Sure.
And it really should be on the agenda.
Go to the floor.
Under
It would
petitioners?
come under petition, after petitioners.
Yeah.
Okay. May everyone speak for the, tonight? Okay, thank you. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting on November 19, 2020. Have a second for that, please? Second by Don. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Make a motion to approve the minutes from November, special meeting from November 23rd, 2020. Have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Doug. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. I make a motion that we approve the monthly meeting from December 1st, 2020. Have a second, please? Second by David. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the special meeting of December 30th, 2020. Have a second for that one, please? Second by Doug. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. So we'll go to the reports. I make a motion we accept the dog control report for the month of December. Have a second, please? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I make a motion that we approve the zoning officer's report for December. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. As everyone knows, our zoning officer is still on medical leave. Will be through sometime in December. Kim Rose has been filling in admirably for helping us out, along with Nikki. So we're dealing with things as they're happening the best we can. Thank you, Kim. Nikki. Councilwoman Dyson.
I make a motion we accept the minutes from the Park and Recreation. And I'd like to thank Jim for the meeting and showing us the video of the repairs that need to be done to the roof. That was very interesting.
Yeah. And I did meet with,
Well, let me just, I'll second that one.
okay,
All right, go ahead.
and I did meet with Supervisor Farrar about that prior to, so I did pass it on to you. I don't know if you passed it on to Steve and Doug as well, but we did receive a quite thorough report from Upstate Roofing on the condition of all the roofs in the community center, and I thought it was a very good report, as Mike and I spoke about. And the nice part about it is that some of the roofs are in decent shape. It's not as bad as I thought, and some are not in great shape, but the best part of it is they laid out opportunities for just simple mitigation to get things buttoned up, and then we can look forward to a longer, take a little more time to come up with a better fix. I'm requesting if I can meet with committee this month, to go through it a little more formally, so we can come back in February and say, okay, here's a suggestion, here's where we should proceed, this is what the estimate should, well, at least what we think it'll cost, so we can go out and get some bids, and maybe get some of the repairs done.
Yes, I would strongly suggest you do that, and, I don't know if this is the time of year to start fixing roofs, but
At least we do right.
certainly if we have a priority of what we should be doing and recommendation, then we can move forward at
Okay.
appropriate time.
So we'll schedule a meeting with Dave, and we'll get after it, so maybe at February meeting, we always have a suggestion. Yep.
Okay.
I would like to add just real quick, Mike, just two things.
Yep.
Business park reservations, they will go on as scheduled on Monday, January 11th. People can start booking for the summer. We're going to be real optimistic that we'll be able to use it this year, but we do have to kind of have those reservations out and going so people can make plans. So residents only from January 11th until the Tuesday after President's Day in February, then we open up to anybody. And so Seneca Falls residents get about 5 weeks head start to book the dates that they want, and we'll go from there, and we'll treat it like a normal year and hope that come May or so, we've got some leeway to actually rent the thing out, so, okay. And the last thing is I am working on a health and safety protocol plan to reopen the fitness room on a limited basis. We're close and lost a little momentum over the holiday, but we'll get that finished up hopefully in the next couple of days. We'd like to be able to at least get some some appointments where people call in, schedule out some time for a couple people at a time in there and use it and go from there. And just waiting to get our act together so I can get it to the health department for their input and their approval. So hopefully we've had quite a few phone calls and get the usual New Year's resolutions to, and then the COVID wave isn't helping the people that the holidays just put them over the top. So we really want to see if we can find a way to get that service open to our residents as best as possible with safety in mind. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 So carried. Councilman Avery.
I recommend that we approve the monthly report from the highway department as submitted.
Second, discussion.
Jim is not here tonight, but most of the things that are on his list were our maintenance things. There are a couple of purchases that you're going to hear about later on, but we might as well talk about those when we get to them. I do want you to know that Christmas tree pickup will be Tuesday, January 19th, one day only. If you want to still have your tree at that point, you want to pick up, put it out on the curb the day before. Please, no tinsel, no wire, no anything. That's me making that up, but it makes sense. Nothing the tree didn't come with originally. I think that's it. I said we'll deal with purchases when we get to it. One thing that Highway and Water Sewer have worked together, along with myself and Mike, on the corner of Blackbrook Road coming into town behind Gould's. You should see already better signage. There's a fire hydrant there that's been repaired, and also a guardrail that if it's not there, it's coming. So just to encourage people to be a little more careful coming around that curve and hopefully not take out our fire hydrant. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. So carried. Councilman Churchill.
Yes, I'd like to move to accept the assessor's report as presented. I don't know if Deb has anything else to add.
Second, Deb.
I would like to speak with you as well as Don about a possible planning for the next 3, 4, 5 years for retail, including tucking some money away in the budget, and have you and Don go through the sales book with me to show you how escalated sales are compared to assessed values.
You say we're already behind on that, right?
Yeah.
It should be. So if we said
25
tonight
years.
that we're going to do it, when could we do it?
Well, it's typically about a 3-year plan. Just to put I gotta find somebody to come and give us a hand to address every parcel. Commercially, lake, farm, residentially. I'm real strong in the residential side of things, but farmland, I don't want to pretend.
But we could have this up and running in 22.
With the right plan, and I've been talking a lot with Phil Griswold, who did one last year in Fire and Junius, and his town board is already saving money for the next 5 years from when it hits again. If we keep the gap closer, 3 to 5 years, we won't see such skewed results in the sales, which is not fair to the taxpayers who are not selling. The equalization rate is way out of whack. That's why I'd like to show them the sales book. I have a parcel that's assessed at $94,000 and sold for $289, and I cannot raise it up to the sale price by law. Same thing in reverse if somebody goes down. It's a $100,000 assessment and it's sold at $50, it just can't drop it for sale price. So our books and our tax rate is skewed.
I'm not questioning the fact that we need to. It's how quickly can we actually get started.
Now, the market could change, but it's been very strong for 2 years.
But we still should do it regardless.
Yeah.
So we should hopefully discuss that in the committee and then make a recommendation as we get here, okay?
But then we'll have to back that up with some money for 22.
Well, there's expense related to this, right, Debbie?
It's about $300,000 to $320,000, depending on photos. I will walk and touch in every file and every parcel and be a part of the value end of things. But the computer work, the state work, it's pretty intense. And meetings, public meetings. I went to a couple of Phil's, and he had a professional appraisal company out of Buffalo generate his. And there was a couple screaming matches from some residents,
Sure.
and the appraisal company handled it very well. It removed a lot of heat and personal stress off of Phil. And the game is to educate the public. if they knew how it was hurting the ones who are not selling, tax rate wise, if they understood how the roll works and balance and checks, I think they could swallow it easier.
I think we need to come up with some type of a hybrid versus a full expense type of thing. You and I have talked about some maybe different options that we can work on type of thing to try to do that. Emily, are you familiar with anything grant-wise for retails? I'll take that as a no.
I'd be happy to take a look at it, but that's usually considered maintenance.
And the phone rings constantly, especially this time of the year. How come my neighbor's taxes or assessed value is only da-da-da-da-da, and mine is D-D-D-D-D, and they don't know? I just can't raise somebody to make it fair. I can't do it. It's called a welcome stranger law. I just can't do it. Unless they snuck an improvement on without a building permit or something, and then I can adjust for that improvement. But I can't just, boom, bring them up to sales price.
And that's an issue. The building permits don't catch up with the legality of the system. One of the priorities I've had Kim work on primarily is not necessarily worrying about how long the grass is, but moving around town and looking for things that are being built, or new roofs and new windows, things that don't even impact your taxes, but should have building permits, additions, and so forth. And it doesn't sound like that's nobody wants to get a building permit because they don't want their taxes to go up. But the bottom line is it affects everybody. It affects everybody. So if you put $100,000 in your house and you sell it, obviously because you put so much money in it, but there's no permits, there's no way for the system to catch up with it. So we continue to emphasize that, and one of the things that we're trying to prioritize.
And I don't object to the fact that you're looking at hybrid models and you need to get a recommendation from the committee, but putting it off because we don't want to spend the money just makes things worse, not better. So
I agree.
Whatever we agree on, there's got to be money for next year, I would think, in order to start the process.
So I think we can wait till February at least, and you can try to, have some discussion with different vendors, all right? And see, again, do we need the Cadillac version, or do we need something like the Nissan version? I don't know, okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Do we need a picture for every piece of parcel?
So I would get a discount, or I don't have to have the pictures because we're filled with pictures.
Right.
That's one thing we have that'll save a huge, enormous expense. I'll talk to the vendor. The state guy can't give me a list because he's been on vacation this last week. So they'll give me a list of vendors and I'll contact and get some bids.
I would volunteer if you leave my house alone. There's probably a room full of people who say, save a few bucks.
Just to put it publicly out there, I cannot assess my own house and I do live here. So I have to have an outside person come in to have a.
Okay, so let's move toward it, and then we'll bring it in front of the board for a decision in February, and we'll get started.
But
Okay.
if you have to go in each house,
No, we don't go in.
you just assess it
We
from
gotta
outside.
measure the outside, like an appraisal, it's an appraisal company. Unless I'm invited. We're invited and it's a different story.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Carried. Counselor, if you're still there, working on a 15% pay cut, anything to report?
Not at this point, just, we have the local laws that we had the public hearings for, and the other matters that are on the agenda that we can discuss as we go forward.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman DeLeus, Town Justice Report.
Accept the report of the two judges for December, and I'd like to welcome Steve Kelly, who started as our new judge at the first of the year.
I second that. They're kind of on a limited basis still, right? They're back to a limited basis, Dave? That's correct, right?
Yeah, limited.
And Steve is all set and he's officially in?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Okay. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Councilman Avery, Water and Sewer.
I move that we accept the monthly report of the water and sewer department as submitted.
Second.
Discussion.
Nobody want to take it?
Nothing to add.
Well, there's stuff here, I highlighted stuff.
Go ahead.
We have, edicts coming down from the Environmental Protection Agency about new rules regarding lead and copper that would interest people, and also a directive that we have to create an emergency response plan for the water plant. We've got two groups of water and sewer workers who went to training. Two have completed, I think two are there now. And as I said, hydrant on Blackbrook Road.
Actually, Doug, two of the two guys this week, that was canceled.
Oh,
So SUNY canceled in-person classes for the month of January as of now. So they were rescheduled, I think, for May. And then we'll find out what happens with the classes that were scheduled for February in the next couple of weeks.
thank you.
Any questions or further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Councilman Delays, Public Safety.
Except the report is presented by the chief. I know we got some stuff on the docket later for police cars to be ordered.
Okay, I second that motion. Chief Pinstra, anything to add?
Just one thing. I'd like to provide everybody an update on the Fill the Cruiser Toy Drive that we held in December. With the help of the Finger Lakes Punishers Law Enforcement Motorcycle Club, we purchased over $3,000 worth of toys. We delivered over 20 complete, ready-to-cook meals to families in need. And we also discovered that there was 3 families that did not have the ability to cook meals. So Walmart graciously provided meals at their expense to those 3 families, and we dropped those meals off to those 3 families that couldn't have the ability to cook meals. So huge success this year again. There's some local businesses that I'd like to recognize in the town that really stepped up. One of them is Walmart, Generations Bank, Tractor Supply Company, Century 21, Seneca Meadows, DA Liquor, Waterloo Container. Those are all local companies that really helped us out enormously this year, and I'd like to thank, obviously, our local companies for that big success, and I think we really helped out a lot of families this Christmas, so thank you. Thank you all for donating.
You said here you've used, during the month, you used the iPad 4 times?
Yes, sir.
And how's that working? Is it working?
It is working out very well. You know, there are instances where it's not feasible. There's instances where we just have to make the decision that the person needs an evaluation, and we don't use the iPad. But as you see this month alone, again, we've used it four times in the month of December with 1 transport. So,
Explain to them.
so the mental health services, we're trying to help people out in the community. What we did is we purchased an iPad. We can, when we get dispatched to a call, mental health services, somebody in crisis, if it applies, we can bring this iPad into the home. They can be evaluated by a mental health service provider right inside their home, and that mental health service provider makes that decision whether or not that person is safe to remain in their residence, or they need to be transported for further evaluation at Clifton Springs Hospital. So what we found is that this is less intrusive for not only the person suffering from a mental health crisis, but also law enforcement, where we're oftentimes erring on the side of caution that someone may harm themselves, where maybe they're just having a bad day, but we're not mental health providers, so therefore we err on the side of caution. We take them to Clifton for an evaluation. It's sometimes confrontational because they feel they don't need to go, we feel that they do. This way, we have the iPad, we have the mental health clinician make that determination for us right there on scene, and we're finding that 80% of the people can remain in their homes. Everybody's comfortable with follow-up evaluations by the Clifton Springs Hospital, and we get to leave without any kind of confrontations, and everybody wins. So it's been a great addition to our toolbox.
It's great because your role then becomes a facilitator rather than an antagonist.
Right, exactly.
The other thing I have is that on your notable cases for December, the first two are registered sex offenders who apparently didn't register with you folks when they moved into the community. I understand that.
Well, not necessarily. Registered sex offenders have certain obligations they need to abide by, and if they fail to abide by those regulations, they can be charged, and it is a felony offense. Such as failing to notify us of email addresses and social media sites and things of that nature. There are 2 officers that we have assigned to that in our agency, Officer Clear and Sergeant Rotz. Those are the 2 officers assigned to manage the sex offenders in our community, and they do a fantastic job making sure that all the registered sex offenders are abiding by what they're supposed to be abiding by. So actually last month we had 2 offenses of that, and we charged them.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Engineering report. Peter?
Not a lot this month, pretty quiet, just kind of continuing 2 projects, and then we're looking at close out of sanitary sewer rehab, also Elizabeth Katie Stanley with the process of closing that project down too.
And, yeah, I guess we got the contract, right, taken care of?
Contract for the pH adjustment system and Auburn Road Tower, we've gone through that process where basically the next step is working with the town to kind of lay in the groundwork for the pad and then some piping for that project.
And you and Pat are finalizing the Calcino agreement?
Yeah, I sent comments to Pat, kind of waiting if he's okay with it, I'll form out Calcino and that should be ready to, I mean, that doesn't need board approval, that should be basically an agreement that we would execute once Pat's okay with that.
Okay. Sounds good. Any further questions or discussions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Make a motion that we accept MRB grant writing services report for the month of December. Can I have a second, please? Second, Mr. Avery. Emily, a couple things before you explain things. When I sent out items for the meeting agenda, I mentioned that we were applying for a Main Street grant. We were looking into a Main Street grant. We were reaching out to participants in the downtown area, which included the Sackett District, to see if they were interested. We have interest, and then we went to the next step, and then I'll let Emily take over.
Sure. Hi, Emily, MRB Group. As the service as being a grant writer, or grant advisor, or grant researcher, it is sometimes our job to tell you when not to apply for a grant and when not to continue potentially spending money you don't want to spend, or if your eligibility is not going to be strong. So when it came to the Main Street grant, we certainly engaged Joelle and Greg right away. We had a lot of great business interest, and we were able to identify areas that were part of the GRI and then also part of Sackett Street, the Sackett Street district, which is great. So we put together a great program, and of course, the other thing you want to do, if it's allowed under that grant program, is to work directly with the agency to see what they think about it, to see, do they have buy-in and what their priorities are. And we had a call with the agency, and the agency was like, wait a second, did you not get the DRI yet? Haven't you gotten the years? Well, yes, we're still waiting and waiting on the state for that. And she's like, and as part of the DRI, as you recall, there was a business improvement fund, $600,000 that businesses can come and get and apply for. And she said, I gotta be honest, if you haven't been able, if you're not if we know you're gonna have a DRI, we know you're gonna have this building fund, and then you ask us for money for these projects that may then be funded by the building fund, we would have a very hard time. The agency was wonderful and just said it'd be very hard for your application to be competitive until the DRI is announced and the building renovation work is identified, the funds are identified. And then what would happen is they said that we want to come in and we want to help and be part of those projects, because they like to be not the first source of funding. It's under community development block grants, where they like to be, not the FEMA and CDBG tend to be that way. So they like the project, which is great. We've got communication, they know what's going on. But this year, because there were barely any grants that came out, it's going to be extremely competitive. They're looking at doing smaller amounts of awards so that they can sprinkle it a little bit further down the state, around the state. So based on those calls and our evaluation, we said that we think the best thing for the town to do would be to wait and apply at the next round. And the next round, this was supposed to come out in the CFA, which is July to August. And the CFA did not come out this year. So some grants just kind of fizzled out at the end of the year this year. But it is expected to come out. It will come out again. And it will either be this summer or the following summer. So just wanted to, does anyone have any questions on that?
No, just a disappointment. We've been told that the DRI, if anything, makes us more eligible.
And it does. It will.
It will. So this is the first time we've heard. The irony is, of course, that we haven't gotten the DRI results, so we're assuming that 600,000 is in there, but we haven't even been told yay or nay on that.
Correct. Yes.
We just have to have faith in the building.
Yes.
So the good news are on the radar. The good news, we've identified property owners in the business district. And again, the Main Street grant it's matching funds, but a property owner could up to $50,000 worth of improvements type of thing. And so that's a good thing. And hopefully the DRI gets settled in this year with the awards, and we can get back on the grant application.
Absolutely. And speaking of grant applications, another one has come out. So some grants are funded by federal funding, and they were held, and now they have to be released. Otherwise, we'll lose the funding as the state. And so another grant that came out is the GIGP. Do you want me to talk about that?
No.
Okay. Then I won't.
Thanks.
And then the thing, Jim Wade, that you spoke about, I was able to just look up real quick that program you were talking about. It's a partnership through AmeriCorps. And I know that there's a partnership and they do that program in Rochester, so I'll send that along to the chief and the supervisor so that the town has information.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
And I'm not trying to stifle Emily. When we get to new business, she's going to talk about a couple of things, grants that become available. We got to have a discussion about a couple of things that these grants are time sensitive. So at that time, Emily, you'll cue back in, okay?
Yeah.
Just the last thing I would say is that the last time the town tried for the Main Street grant, it sort of died on the vine because lack of interest particularly in the Sackett Street district, as I understand it. And if we've got enthusiastic owners over there now, that's great news.
Yeah, we've identified them. We had them signed up. We had basically 4 property owners in the Sackett Street district on board. We actually, gave them, the form and so forth, and then got kind of pulled on us. But yeah.
And it could come out again as soon as May of this year. And also, we spoke to the agency about a previous Main Street revitalization grant that Seneca Falls had received. because we always want to follow up and make sure that we know exactly what the agency is thinking, and we were able to get a report on how the town did, and we're going to be able to take their report and utilize that in the next application to make you guys look even better. Until you fix anything that needs to be fixed.
Thanks.
Emily, thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Avery, Seneca Falls Development Corporation.
We need to vote
Oh,
on
yes, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Councilman Avery, Seneca Falls Development Corporation.
Development Corporation, as I've said every month for far too long, still no word on the DRI, and Emily just mentioned. I don't know, it's coming sooner or later, but the consolation is, I guess, that no communities have gotten it. That's not, we're not being singled out. We're not in danger any more or less than anybody else. No one is, no community has been able to move forward. The last month, the SFDC has to be audited and has to file forms with the state that chronicle its existence and its ability to handle its finances and so on. And so all of that has been completed. That took up a lot of our final meeting. We haven't seen an audit report yet, but we've been told everything is fine. It's been mailed out to the state. And that was as of our December meeting. We did talk a little bit about the Main Street and our willingness, there's a little news now, and our willingness to serve whatever role we can in that, but I guess we'll just have to wait. The staycation program by the state that ran kayaks out here during the summer, we're trying to find a way. They want to move, the state wants to move on to other communities along the canal, which makes perfect sense. But in the meantime, it was an exciting and successful program. So we're trying to figure out a way to have that out here again for summer of '21 if we can. And then we spent quite a lot of time on we have to find a new manager for the farmers market for 2021. So that was really the other agenda item that we would say.
Kind of related but not related. Everybody enjoy the music downtown when you're downtown? Everybody? Okay. Everything comes with a price, as I found out today. Apparently, 4 years ago or something, the Seneca Falls Development Corporation and the Downtown Business Association kind of hooked up on this project, and they bought equipment to provide music downtown.
I think, to be honest with you, I think Waterloo Container funded that purchase of equipment.
Okay? I don't.
Before I was with the development.
Yeah. So looking into that, I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I believe that's right. I believe that's right.
That's right. Well, the bottom line is it costs about $890 a year for the music to come through. I just wanted to let you know that, okay, up front. And so that bill came through today, and Nikki and I did some investigation, and I talked to the Downtown Business Association and so forth. So I believe the equipment is housed at the visitor center, I think?
Correct.
Correct. So anyway, I just want to let you know, keep enjoying the music, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, that could be done for us.
I didn't realize we were
Who are
playing
we
the bill.
paying to do that?
There's a company out of Rochester, I believe, that provides the music.
You know, a simple subscription to Amazon Music for $100 a year.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if something maybe, is Rhonda back, or?
She's not back yet, but it's something that we could explore there at the museum.
Mike, would you like me to do that?
Would you?
Yep.
See, I don't know what the,
Let me find out. I know they did that. I didn't know there was a cost involved. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me, I'll jump on that and see what we can come up with the next, before the February meeting, okay?
Give me a call.
It probably has to do with performance rights and royalties.
I'm sure exactly what it is, I'm sure.
But wow.
And there might be other options.
I thought it was downtown business with top of bottom.
Yeah, I do too. Okay, let me get on it.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, all in favor of that report, please say aye. Aye. So carried. One other committee report is the committee feasibility of the town manager. I believe they meet again next week, and this next meeting, I believe, the councilman and councilwoman have been invited to meet with the committee, and they're on track to come back to the board with some recommendation either in February or March about the feasibility of the town manager. But they have been meeting on a regular basis once a month. John is a member of that committee, along with 13 other people. And again, the meetings are open to the public. They're held right here. And is it Wednesday night or Thursday night? Next week? Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday night. Okay. So the next meeting is Tuesday at 5:30?
Starts at 5:30, and then I think Doug and I are going in at 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah, and is there a reason, I'm not clear at all why we can't all meet together?
They didn't want to have a forum.
Well, it's a public meeting, so a forum doesn't really come into play. We don't have to conduct, we don't have to call a meeting of the town board, but we can be present in it. It's a public meeting.
The explanation I got, I don't know, Don, you got the same one, is that there was, they work on the premise that if one person or two people on the committee are uncomfortable with something, then they go away from that. And my understanding was that it was not unanimous on the committee to do it that way.
Well, my understanding in the email is the committee would do whatever we decided that we wanted to do. That's what I read. It was left to us.
I'm not involved in it, so I don't know.
But you know, at the county level, that when the committee meetings conduct their meeting, all the other supervisors are there, and there is no board meeting called. It's not, even though there's a quorum of the entire board. It's open to the public. It's just a committee meeting. This would be the same thing. I just as soon have a discussion with all of the other supervisors there, because again, I want to hear what they're asking. I think they would be interested in hearing what I might be asking. It makes no sense to have two meetings.
Did you send an email to Mr. Nicholas in regards to that?
He did.
Oh, you did?
And I didn't respond. I didn't really have a preference either way. But, I mean, as far as I saw, Gary said that it was really up to this board whether we wanted to have one meeting or two. And there's no reason we couldn't have one meeting.
I know I'm not available next week, I know, because of county working. But, you know, if you want to talk to Mr. Macaluso, that's...
Well, it's up to us. I mean, when he says it's up to us.
I don't know that. I'm not privy to that information. I don't know.
I mean, do you have any problem?
I can be there at 5:30.
Go ahead.
Okay, either way.
Charlie Piccolino. I was actually at the meeting and made a suggestion.
Charlie's on the committee, by the way.
I'm a committee member.
No, I said Charlie's on the committee. That's what I said. I'm
Yes,
sorry. Go ahead.
So my perception was he felt that it was up to the council members to decide how they want to come and present. So as I understood, it was because we couldn't have a formal meeting and the quorum issue. So we talked to Jerry Macaluso, but from my perspective, I don't think any of the committee had a problem with the entire council being there simultaneously. So, but talk to Jerry. He's
Yeah, you make the back for him still there? Yeah. Right, I understand that. But let me give you the Reader's Digest version. So we're talking about the committee for appointing the town manager recommendation. We could have, the whole board could be at that meeting. We would just have to make, Nikki would have to make some type of a announcement that there's going to be a board meeting, a committee board meeting on that date. Is that accurate?
As long as there's a public, say, it would be an open meeting.
Yep.
So you have the requirements under the open meetings law to have a regular meeting. It should be conducted as a meeting of this committee, but it would just need to be publicized a bit, website, and it's not the same formal requirements as a public hearing, but there are some requirements to publicize that as a public meeting, and then
Right.
But that's the main concern, it's just that if it's gonna be more than two members of the town board, it needs to be publicized as a public meeting.
And there's, they do Zoom the meeting, they have members of the committee who participate in the Zoom portion of it, so I don't know if that would be available to the public or not, but, you know, I can find that out, I guess, or somebody can find that out. How many days, Pat, notifications?
We really, just need to have more than 3 days. Something like that.
Weekends count?
We guess we can, yes.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Don,
They're gonna be making a recommendation to the town board,
right,
that the town board will be acting on.
okay. John, can you reach out to Mr. Macaluso, please? And see if the board's wish is to do it together. I will not be there, and again, I got a county meeting. But anyway, if the four of you want to meet, and maybe David would meet, you know, Zoom type of thing, see if that can be facilitated.
The announcement in the paper?
Well, I want to make sure he's on board with it. I don't want to undercut him type of thing. Again, I'm not privy to communications. But anyway, if he's okay with it, Tom, the board's recommendation was they'd like to do it together. You know, it'll be a public meeting. It'll be a regular meeting that'll be advertised, et cetera, et cetera.
He went to 1 hour times, Jerry went to 1 hour time slots for two board members.
I'm sorry, Doug.
Jerry set it up for 1 hour time slots, so
Right.
we might need to go to an hour and a half if we're all going to be there, just in terms of what we communicate to him. And then whatever works for your schedule as far as the starting time.
So it'll still start at 5:30, you know, type of thing. You couldn't make it at 5:30?
I can't make it at 5:30.
Okay. And what's the earliest you can make it at?
I could be there by like 4 to 6, but I can't make it at 5:30.
Right. Tell them that then, and then just let Nikki know, include me in any communication, so that if it's going to start at 5:45, we can publicize it as a regular meeting, you know, meetings, okay?
Yep.
Doug, are you good with that?
Yeah,
And Dave, are you good with that format?
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Right, okay. And Dave, if you have to, I think we can probably Zoom you in. Ted Novak handles that technology, so if you do you have access to a computer?
Yeah.
Okay, so that also could, you know, we can go that option, okay?
All right.
Okay, I'll keep you posted.
All right.
Where's the meeting book now?
Right here.
Here?
Okay. I guess there's no, you don't have to prove that, there's nothing to approve. Okay, moving on to communications. We have 9 communications, everyone has them in their packet. Have a motion to accept the communications for the month of December. Second? Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Thank you. Old business, sale of surplus property. Not much to report here. Obviously, 60 State Street is still out there, and that's contingent upon DRI funding. 10 Fall Street is still out there. That's contingent upon some type of development down in that part of Van Cleef Lake. 115 Fall Street has not been finalized. Pat and the buyer's attorney are in discussions, and but that has not been finalized. There was a inspection completed by the buyer, and they're looking to have some things done that don't fall under our domain as a owner of the condo. Fixing the toilets and the sink falls under our domain. Having the Floyd joists in the building restructured doesn't fit under our domain. That's part of obviously the condo property owned by the Strawway Group. So I don't know where it's going to end. So, but it's not finalized. Okay? Is that about accurate, Pat?
Yes, that was a good summer.
Okay, perfect. All right. Town demands related to SMI to operate landfill. Any,
From Pat, I think we've done it.
No change since the last meeting, the letter went out. The only response we've received is the publicity surrounding their application to DEC.
so SMI attorneys have not gotten back to?
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Barrett Street culvert. I guess this is one thing that we can chime Emily back in. And Peter. There's funding that's become available for certain things. I was in contact with the New York State Canal Corporation engineer, lead engineer, about 3 months ago. He finally reconnected with me just before New Year's, and he basically provided a whole lot of connections and possible grants, et cetera, all the things that really we knew about for the most part, okay? My question was, Brendan, is Canal Corporation taking responsibility for the culvert? And he said, Mike, that's not going to happen based on what our position is. He did say that because of the whole situation and the muddy water, so to speak, he would help facilitate the securing of grants as best he could. And I got the impression that we would move up the ladder quickly because of this situation. Okay? But there's no need to apply for grants if the board's desire is not to do anything with Barrett Street culvert. So I guess that's where it's at. Emily, some possibilities here, Peter, possibilities of grants that you could share with folks?
Okay, so two potential grants that could assist this project would be Bridge New York, as Peter has brought up, and that is a grant program through the Department of Transportation. Again, this funding was somewhat announced and was expected to come out and did not come out, and it's now at about 1.5 years delayed. There are rumors, Peter's team's hearing
So that, yeah, there's,
some good rumors that
we
it's,
think wintertime, that program will be formalized, the governor's made kind of an announcement coming. It's typically on a 2-year cycle anyways, so 2018 was the last year, it's delayed, it should have happened in 2020. But that's more of a DOT kind of transportation, it's kind of dependent upon the CFA type grants as well, but that's a program that, you know, we work with, and it's a sound program. It's about a 2-year process from selection through actually completion of the project. So it's a DOT project, it would take a little bit of, it's a slower process, but more methodical on that end with respect to design and kind of the various approvals required along the way.
and then the second application, the second program that is actually, it's available now, but also will be coming out, planned to be coming out, it usually comes out during the CFA, which is again from May to August, is a community development block grant. They call that CDBG. The town had previously applied for a planning grant, under the planning a couple of years ago. However, if they now wanted to apply for implementation, which is what this would be, it would be difficult to do it for this round. Peter, I was able to look up the low and moderate percentage income, which is the eligibility, and the town doesn't quite hit it.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we would have to do look at doing an income survey for the area it affects. And then if that area has a low moderate income of less than 51%, they could qualify for that funding. Again, this funding is available. I just want to let you know that these are programs that they're not necessarily available at this exact moment, but we want to be thinking about it because these are opportunities that are certainly coming down the road, and more prepared when we discuss it, the better.
Any idea how much money would be involved? I mean, what are the size of the grants?
Well, CDBG can be upwards to $1 million. Bridge New York, I don't remember what the.
I think in 2018, and it has been for, I think in 2018 for culverts, so Bridge New York, called Bridge New York, it includes culverts. I think the culvert funding was 50% of the project cost. So there's, a lot of these things will be capped too. So the one thing I think we'd be looking at would be possibly co-funding can possibly this project kind of meet two grant programs and, build not just rely on one, but possibly two. So.
Absolutely, and CDBG likes to be the second one after it's already been funded by one, so it's a.
And I know we didn't talk about it when we met earlier, but the Cuba Lake Watershed Organization, I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look into that. Brendan mentioned that there's money available to these watersheds for stuff like this, but I don't know. Peter, you mentioned.
We're looking into it because we sit on the SWEO committee, which has some.
Right.
It's not as Cuba Lake is as advanced as like Seneca Lake's got a pretty advanced program. Cuba Lake, I think, is kind of moving along.
Yeah.
I would not expect to be a lot of money available on that end, and a lot of it is, even though, I mean, that's a program where the canal technically ultimately discharges the Cuba Lake, but the watershed is the Seneca River, the Seneca Cuba Canal. Unfortunately, that's a watershed that just doesn't score a lot of points. It's not considered impaired.
As a town supervisor, I'm a member of that group.
Okay.
And I know earlier in the year, they solicited from the town supervisors anything that we thought would be possible reasons for grants, okay, projects for grants and so forth. So I provided them information. That's a cumulative collection of things that they write one big grant for the entire Cuba watershed district type of thing. And that all got put off to the side because of, unfortunately, COVID. I did reach out to Tia, who is she's done now, Tia Hunter, and the new person in charge, and she told me there's nothing available on their end. But that's one of the things that Brendan did.
Yeah.
So, I guess for the lack of not having to make a decision tonight, is February too late for some of these grants?
I mean, the Bridge New York could.
The Bridge New York hasn't been announced yet.
Okay, so that's obviously
It's right.
If it goes, and Matt Schooley's indicated he thinks on the end of January timeframe, that probably puts you in, and that's pretty consistent with years past, that puts you in that March, April kind of application timeframe. Bridge New York is a pretty straightforward application. Obviously, the CDBG ones are more involved with public hearings and things like that. It sounds like there's probably going to be an income survey required of that as well. So that's largely based on income with there. So that one I'm guessing probably not going to be ready for a February type submission.
Correct. We're gonna based on the category of the work and where the town currently stands, they should not apply for the CDBG at this opening, which is right now, which is open from now until February, literally. However, it's going to come up again next year. It could be as soon as May. And if you have applied for Bridge New York in February, and then know you got Bridge New York, and then applied for CDBG saying, and we got Bridge New York, this is a partner, we're going to use both fundings, it certainly puts the town in a much better position. But it's something they want to talk about, because they would have to invest in an income survey, which could be a couple $1,000, usually about, I would say about between $2,000 to $4,000.
Yeah, it's like the firms that do that relatively fast.
That income survey, is that something we should have in our back pocket as far as grant writing is going anyway?
So the income survey is very specific to this grant program. This grant program and also USDA programs. And what they do is they say they're grant funding for areas that are low income. So if you just don't make that low income, but you can show the project area where the residents living in that project area that the project benefits, if those residents have extremely low income, then they will then say, oh, okay, then this qualifies. And that happens. We do income surveys and project on income surveys, but it does take some planning. Because you want to have that plan ready if you do plan on the CDBG.
So, basically, the position of the majority of the board has been that it's not broke, don't fix it. Is that still what we're saying?
Don't fix it ever?
No.
That's not my position. My position is that it should be fixed at some point. And my position will always be, even if the state doesn't take ownership of it, they created the situation.
Correct.
They should be paying for the solution.
Correct.
If it comes this way, and it happens over the course of the next 2 years, I'm fine with waiting. You know, this is more hopeful news as far as grants than we've had thus far.
And I think, again, I'm not going to guarantee this by any means, it's just the tone of my conversation with, again, the Canal Corps engineer, lead guy, that he would help facilitate the whole process.
Right. And that's an important piece of it. And the other, of course, is the condition of the culvert itself. You know, if the road was still closed off, and, you know, and it was still considered unusable, then obviously we can't wait. But I think at this point, the way we're using it and the way and so on, I think we can.
If I could say, for both those programs, the Bridge New York and the CDBG, particularly CDBG, if you are planning to apply for it, that something such as an income survey and also having an engineering report completed, that's going to be a requirement. You know, based on where you guys are and where you need to be to get to that engineering report might be something.
So yeah, we've completed an analysis whether or not every grant program has a different requirements for engineering reports. I'm not directly familiar with what's involved in CDBG, but we've done kind of hydraulic evaluation of conditions of summary. So we've done that baseline report, whether or not it checks every box with respect to what the specific grant requirements are. We'd have to dig into that. But that's, yeah, certainly have that ready. So this is beyond that planning grant. This is where we're looking for cash to you know, do the work. I think it was 1.5 million or so is what our last estimate was.
We're good. Any thoughts, Steve?
No, I agree with Doug. I mean, the state owns the south side, they own the north side. It's their retention pond, it's their water, it's their debris that they're allowing to essentially flow through there. They cause the damage. If it's truly damaged, I would still like to see more evidence of the damage. They own the fix, and that's where I stand. I think any court of law would tell you that.
Well, again, we're kind of back to where we are. So if the majority feels that you want to pursue legal claim against the state, that has to happen. I mean,
No, well,
it wouldn't be my recommendation, but never was my recommendation.
But it's an option.
It's certainly an option.
And I mean, I completely understand why Canal Corp doesn't want to, you know, they aren't going to say, yeah, it's ours, we'll take care of it. I get that, but I think when push comes to shove, you should demonstrate that it is. It's their responsibility.
Dave, any thoughts?
Well, it's been going on a long time.
Certainly has.
I'd like to see the state come across with something.
So would I.
And there's really no evidence that it's moved. There's no cracks in the sidewalk. They're new. They had their 70,000-pound equipment sitting right on top of it. That didn't seem to bother them. They cleaned it out. The road's not cracked. I mean, there's no evidence of any settling. There's no equipment to monitor it over there. I mean, so, I don't know.
Stu, is the fire department still sending their biggest truck around if they have to go across the canal?
I believe only in emergencies they're doing that. So only if they absolutely have to is what the fire chief chose to do.
They'll go over it if they have.
If they have an emergency, they will use it.
But nobody's really keeping track of what's going across that grade on any given day. The barrels are pretty much pushed back, so anything could go through there.
Well, I'm going to come with a resolution in February, okay? And the resolution will be basically that we move forward to repair the culvert, okay? We can have a discussion, we can take a vote, and at that point, if the majority of the board feels that's the option, then we'll go there. If it gets voted down and the majority of the board feels that it should pursue a legal option, we can go there. In my initial discussion with David Howe, he wasn't real optimistic, but that was I can't remember, that was probably back in January or February. I will revisit with David that scenario just so that we have information on the legal issue.
Yeah, if he's got some opinion, I would love to see it.
Yeah, and I don't think it was, I don't remember, I'm not going to say exactly what it was, but I'll reach out again to him and ask him about that. Okay? Okay. Moving on to new business. We're not going to approve any special events because we don't have any. Need a motion to authorize the town supervisor to invest monies in Del Lago. I'm sorry, town monies. Authorize town supervisor to invest town monies. Can I have a motion for that, please? Second? Thank you, David. David Lay, second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Thank you. We need Association of Town Meetings, which is going to be completely virtual this year. We need an answer tonight. We need a delegate and an alternative delegate to be part of the Association of Towns. I'm looking for volunteers.
Yeah, but that is if they're going to take the training virtually. If no one's going to take the training virtually, this is useless. Just appointing somebody is not going to be able to.
And do you know what the training is?
It's in the President's Week.
I'm sorry.
It's President's Week. It's a whole week.
But what's the training particularly for? This is the...
For the actual seminar.
Seminar.
Training.
Yeah.
Yes. It's going to be all, I think, Monday, Tuesday, and part of Wednesday.
February 14th through the 17th. Yeah.
So there's really no use. It's $100 a person if they want to take advantage of going on site.
Yeah, this is what I went to last year. This is correct. Okay. Yeah, I did. I went live last year.
Oh, you went live?
I did. Yeah.
So.
I didn't go to New York City. I went to this and type of thing. So there's a lot of good stuff here. I mean, if you're interested.
So this is basically New York City. It's on.
Right. Right.
Well, if you're
the delegate thing, the business meeting is the last and smallest part of it.
Yes, on Wednesday morning.
I did it last year. I'll be happy to. I'd be interested in seeing information about the training.
Okay,
If they're gonna
give that to you.
I just assumed the whole thing was not going on.
Have a good evening, Mr. Wade. Thank you. Okay, so please let Nikki know ASAP about that.
So do you want to appoint the delegate and alternate just in case?
Sure. Dave, or Doug, you want to be the delegate?
Not too much.
Okay. And I need an alternate for that, please. I'll be the alternate.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, resolution authorizing adoption by the town board of Seneca Falls Local Law Number 1, whereas the public hearing was held tonight at the Seneca Falls Recreation Center. All parties attempted an opportunity to speak. Whereas after deliberation and consideration of the comments submitted, residents and other interested parties, the town and board of Seneca Falls finds it in the best interest of the town to adopt said local law. Resolved that the town clerk is directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and the local laws of the town of Seneca Falls, and to give due notice of the adoption of said local law to the Secretary of State of New York. Can I have a second for that, please? Second. Any further discussion on local law number 1, which will extend broaden the exemptions for our senior citizens? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Carried 5-0. Resolution authorizing adoption by the town board of the Seneca Falls Local Law Number 2 of 2021. Public hearing was held on January 5th. At this location, after deliberation and consideration of the comments submitted, residents and other interested parties, the town board finds it in the best interest of the town to adopt this local law. Resolved that the town clerk is directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting in the local laws of the town of Seneca Falls, and to give due notice of the adoption of the law to the Secretary of the State of New York. Could I have a second for this one, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Avery. Any discussions or comments? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, carried 5-0. At this time, I make a motion to appoint the Seneca Falls Town Board as the lead agency for the SECRA short environmental assessment form. We would be the lead agency that we're going to complete the form tonight. Can I have a second for that, please? Second by Mr. Avery. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
There are 11 questions to part 2 that we need to fill out. As you saw, comments from the town attorney. In his opinion, everything was moderate, but I will go through questions 1 through 11, and if anybody has any objection, please say so. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? No or small impact may occur. Everybody agree with that? Good. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use of intensity of the use of land? No or small impact may occur. Any disagreement there? Number 3, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No or small impact. Any objection there? Number 4, will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area, also known as a CEA? Any no or small impact there? Any objection? Number 5, will the proposed action result in adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No or small impact may occur. Any objection? Number 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No or small impact may occur. Any objection there? Number 7, will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No or small impact may occur. Any objection there? Number 8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No or small impact may occur. Any objection there? Number 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? Example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna? No or small impact may occur. Any objections there? Number 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No or small impact may occur. Any objection there? And number 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No or small impact may occur. Any objection there? Okay. With that, motion. Okay.
Okay, so Mike, you just, you've gone through the questions, have not identified any impacts that would have been moderate or large.
Okay.
Or either small or no impacts. So it would be appropriate for the board to make a finding that the adoption of local law number 3 regarding the flood zones, it would be appropriate to make a finding that this would not have the potential for any significant adverse environmental impacts. And that's known as a negative declaration.
And that would be a motion to do that, correct, Scott?
Yes.
Okay. So now I'm going to make a motion that we've completed the SECRA and we found there's no or small impact based on the 11 questions, and it's a negative impact on local law number 3. Do you have a second for that, please?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. I make a motion.
So now, and then, so you got, that's the seeker.
Right.
Included with the information that you had from the local law, there's also a resolution
Is that in that folder, Pat?
It should be,
It's the same one that's
in
in
my packet, it was attached to the secret.
I got it, I got it, I got it,
Yeah.
I got it. You don't need it. No, you don't need it. I use my copy. It's stuck here. There we go. Okay. Resolution authorizing an adoption by the town board of the town of Seneca Falls of local law number 3 of 2021. Whereas a public hearing was held today at this location, whereas pursuant to part 617 of the implementing regulations pertaining to Article 8, State Environmental Quality Review Act, it has been determined that the town board, that adoption of said proposed law would be unlisted action and be determined not to have significant adverse impact on the environment. And whereas after due deliberation and consideration of the comments submitted by the town residents and other interested parties, the town board of the town of Seneca Falls find in the best interest of this town to adopt said local law 3. Resolved that the town clerk is directed to enter a said local law in the minutes of this meeting and the local laws of the town of Seneca Falls, and to give due notice of the adoption of said local law to the Secretary of State of New York. Could I have a second for that, please? Second by Mr. Avery. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. That is carried 5-0. I have a resolution here. The police department seeks approval from the town board to authorize Enterprise Fleet Management to factory order 2021 budget approved vehicles. Can I have a second for this, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. DeLeus. Chief Feenstra, anything to add before a vote's taken?
No, these two vehicles will replace aging vehicles, so we're not adding to the fleet, we're just replacing older vehicles that need to be getting us some mileage and maintenance.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. I make a resolution to authorize the supervisor, Farrar, to sign the New York State electric and gas excavation permit. Have a second for that, please? Second. This is an annual thing that happens. It's just a blanket permit. Pat's looked at it in numerous years. It's just standard procedure, nothing serious. It just indemnifies the town from any New York State gas and electric issues when they're working on different things. Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. 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 So carried. Okay. We did Christmas tree pickup. Mr. Avery announced that January 19th, one day only. Need a motion to approve Justice Court audit for the year 2019. Everybody has that audit. Could I have a second for that, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Avery. This audit is done by the Dandano Group, and it's required that we make this part of the minutes in our meeting. So that's what we're doing at the moment. Okay. Everything was in order with the court system, and as I said, you received the report from that group. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye. 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 So carried. I will make a motion to adopt the Town of Seneca Falls computer internet use policy. Can I have a second for that, please?
Second.
Thank you. Actually, when I came on board, we were in transition about an internet policy. One that was created before was not accepted by the board. It was pretty messy. I know I sat down with Chief Feenstra, and we worked on a couple of things. I bounced some things off of him. Then Pat approved it. that was back probably in February or March, it just never got adopted for the year. In the last month, I've been working on the handbook with the assistance of my confidential secretary and Bev Warfel and Sarah and Cassandra. And there's a lot of things in the handbook that don't line up, they're inconsistent, there's typos, there's incorrect language. But anyway, we're working on that, hopefully that'll be done. This should be part of the handbook that all of our employees receive. That's all I know about that. Any questions?
I've got two. Obviously, I understand the need for this and so on, but there's just some language things that are kind of strange. On the very first page, item number 3, do not use computers, blah, 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 for any reasons other than legitimate learning purposes.
That would be probably part of, it would have to be probably changed to something different, right?
So that's what I was
Yep.
recommending it. And then the top of the
No,
third page,
it should be legitimate town business.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
top of the third page, the use of the internet is a privilege, not a right.
Where are you, Doug?
Top of page 3.
Okay.
It just seems to strike me as a strange language in a municipal computer use policy.
I'll make that change. Okay. All right. Thank you, Doug. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Let's see. Need a motion to establish a reserve account for the purpose of accepting donations for the Restville Cemetery Bridge. Have a motion for that, please? Yeah, second. Whereas the Westville Cemetery Bridge is needed repair, and whereas the people in the community wish to donate to help repair the cemetery bridge, and whereas the town needs to set aside a reserve fund for this specific person. I can only tell you that Mrs. Ireland has started a campaign to restore a very old 1800s bridge that crosses the ravine at Westville Cemetery. You know, it's an expensive ordeal, but she's working at it, and if anybody can do it, she can raise funds.
And so this just gives her a place to put the donations.
Correct. So this is just a separate account, when any donations come in, then we put them in this account. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried. I have a motion here. The sewer department would like to request the town board to approve modifying the 2020 sewer budget to apply $7,816 for sale of equipment on 10/20/2020 by the Auctions International to account number, line number G8120.203, which is the pickup account, to cover the amount of the pickup truck in excess of the budget. Do you have a second for that, please? Second. Pretty standard here. Joe, anything to add?
Yes, it looks like we were over budget, but we were not. So we had, say, I don't know the exact number, say we had 35,000 in for the pickup, but we told the board that we were going to sell an old pickup truck and use the proceeds from that. So this is, we sold the old pickup truck for 11,000 and then took the 7,800 out of the 11,000, put it in to cover that. So but we wrote a resolution further down the line this year to explain it a little better up front. So it's a positive. It looks like a negative, like we were over budget, but we were not.
So this is really a budget transfer.
Yeah.
From one account.
Well, we received the check. We received the check for the truck from Auctions International.
Right. But
So yes,
and that's going into one
it's going
account.
from that truck check to that. Yeah.
Right. It's also going from 2020 to 2021. Budget transfer.
I think that's all in the 2020 budget. I And then the extra 3,000 is in the general sewer fund. Or wherever she took it from, I don't have the numbers in front of me.
You know, and I've asked this before, could we get Bill, would we pop the title up here a little bit, you know, Thomas Seneca?
I did not do that.
No, I know, well, I'll tell your guys or whoever.
No, we didn't do that resolution.
You did?
No, Bev did that, I believe. That's not my resolution.
That Warford has.
It'd be helpful, you come along these, is, you don't even know that's a resolution.
What would you like on it?
Something that gives you the indication that it's a resolution.
I think I have been doing that now, so
Yeah.
let's see when you come down to the next three.
Right, like this.
I don't even remember.
All right. Yep. Usually she does, so I don't know. I'll let her know.
Slack it up.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. I'd like to make a motion that Town of Seneca Falls start the process to change the street lighting to LED through a New York State electric and gas program, not to exceed $10,000. Could we have a second for that, please? Thank you. So this is, I've been in contact with New York State Gas and Electric. I've heard about some programs in other communities. I believe the town of Palmyra, the town of Newark, and so forth. Basically, they have a program available, money available to switch over our lights to LED, which everybody knows are way more energy efficient. And initial cost would be around $10,000 on our part. But the bottom line is the cost savings would be exponential. You regain the $10,000 within 6 months of electric. The other issue is that bottom line is the lights are out in the town. It's not priority one for New York State Gas and Electric to come out and fix it. Okay? Priority one is weather-related, line work, et cetera, et cetera. So as you go around town, you see some lights that are out. It's not for the lack of us not reporting it. It's just not their priority. They'll tell you right now. It's not line priority number 10 out of 10. And so it's an issue, and the lights are aged and so forth. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a no-brainer. The lights would be, as I said, all LED and very significant cost savings to our taxpayers. That's all I know. Hi.
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 If I can just add that improvements to LED streetlights, if the town ends up replacing 50% or more of their LED streetlights, that will also count as a high impact item for the Clean Energy Communities program offered through NYSERDA, another New York State agency, but it's just another benefit that the town will receive.
So we've been working, what Emily's referring to, we've been working on a grant, an energy grant for all of our energy needs. Emily, Kim has been helping out with that, and myself, Aaron Fasolacqua, we're basically going through every town building, we're going through figuring out our electric bills for the entire for the town and the different buildings and so forth. It's mind-boggling how much money we spend on electricity and how many different accounts we have and so forth. But we're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars just for the electricity. So these, working with Emily, is working on a grant to provide some. Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. I am going to make a motion to transfer funds to supervisor equipment line for fireproof filing cabinet not to exceed $2,500. Can I have a second for that? Second by Mr. Avery. Let me explain. We're out of room in the one fireproof filing cabinet that we have. There's no money in, it comes out, apparently comes out of the supervisor's budget. there was no money allocated for that in the budget. So we have 3 quotes, we're working on the 3rd quote. We have 2 quotes, we're working on the 3rd quote. We have a quote for 24 or something, type of thing. So I can't give you the exact number right now until I get the 3rd quote. But tomorrow I'll get the 3rd quote. Anyway, not to exceed $2,500. Not much to debate here. We need it's for our personnel folders that we keep in our employees. Any questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
These line items on new business that involve money or the transfer of money coming in the form of a resolution.
Don't know, Steve. Probably would make more sense. But I can work on that.
In other ways, this is our record. And it doesn't have all the information in it.
I will have Beth take care of that.
Does the rest of the board agree that it fits?
Well, I mean, I'm not the one creating these resolutions, you understand that? So if it deals with what money, it's Beth.
So
Okay? If it deals with highway, it's Jim. If it deals with water and sewer, it's Joe.
And in all, you're saying that these items were put under by Beth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the resolution will go a long way because it gives us more information. The dollar amounts are on here. We have a good
Okay.
I put the dollar amounts in the motion when I do the motion
In the
in
minutes.
the minutes.
Yeah. So it's
I
in the
always
minutes.
put dollar amounts and I try to elaborate a little more.
Right, but the minutes, I don't get the minutes until, all right, I'm sitting here at the board having to make a decision. And, you know, I have to listen to everything Mike is saying. It'd be nice if I had a written document.
We'll take care of this. Okay, this is not going to be a resolution. Oh no. Regulations, we have that? Yeah, send us something on that. Doug, you have that? Yeah. I have it.
Resolution introduced, local law.
Oh, that's way down below, so that's you. See on number, see Z? Look at Z. Is that what that is? Yeah, so I think I was going to take this out.
This is the.
Just take that out.
So it's in here?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to skip over letter B, P. We'll get to it in letter Z. And a resolution, whereas the highway department would like to purchase a grasshopper model 225 with a 48-inch mower deck for the cemetery. We have 2 quotes. One from Abby's Power Equipment for $8,978. One from Martin's Outdoor Power Equipment for $9,913. Now therefore resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board hereby authorize the purchase of the grasshopper model. This is a budgeted item for 2020. Have a second for this resolution, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Avery. Any discussion?
The only thing, since Jim's not here, I had, you can see it says these are used for cemetery mowing. So the board would go to the low bidder, and as Mike just said, it is a budgeted item.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All carried. Resolution here, whereas the highway department would like to purchase an 18-inch milling attachment for our Bobcat from Bobcat of the Finger Lakes for $13,061.36 on the New York State contract. Now therefore be resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby authorize the purchase of a Bobcat 18-inch milling attachment for $13,061.36. Have a second for this, please? Second by Mr. Avery. Any questions or discussion?
Just point out, this is for milling around fixtures like catch basins and manholes. The lead time on this purchase is quite long, so it's let's do it now so that they'll have it for paving season this summer. It was under New York State contracts and also budgeted for.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Resolution, the Highway Department would like to purchase a 22-foot tilt bed trailer. There were two bids, one from PJ Trailers for $6,800, one from Seneca Farm and Home for $6,750. We would like to purchase the trailer from PJ Trailers for $6,800. As we already have two of the PJ Trailers, all parts that are needed are the same. The trailer is built strong. Therefore, be resolved that the town board approve, authorize this purchase. Can I have a second for this, please? Before Doug explains anything, I checked with Pat. There is, even though it's a $50 discrepancy, there is a provision in the procurement policy based on the fact that he's going to be using the parts from the older trailers for the newer trailer, and it's all the same parts. I don't know if Doug, you had anything else to add?
No, that's really it. We got the budget before.
Yes.
That's the reason for going with a higher bid. It's higher by $50. Other trailers, mechanical.
Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. So carried. I'm not aware of this one, but this came in late today, I guess. So, Steve, this is your resolution?
Yes.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and introduce it?
Perfect time, maybe somebody can hear me. This resolution, Town Council requests New York State DEC to deny Seneca Meadows, Inc. Valley Fill expansion application submitted July 2020. Whereas it has recently come to light that Seneca Meadows, Inc. in July of 2020 submitted an application to the New York State DEC for a site expansion known as the Valley Infill Expansion that would accommodate the disposal of waste for an additional 15 years. And whereas Seneca Falls Town Council in 2016 passed local law number 3 banning the disposal of waste within the town of Seneca Falls beyond December 31st of 2025. Therefore, be it resolved that Seneca Falls Town Council moves to request that the New York State DEC respect Seneca Falls Town Law and move swiftly to dismiss Seneca Meadows' July 2020 application for expansion. Be it further resolved that the clerk of the board forward a copy of this resolution and a copy of Local Law 3 of 2016 to Senator Pam Helmy, Assemblyman Jeff Gallahan, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, the Commissioner of New York State DEC Basil Sagos, to permit Administrator for Region 8 of New York State DEC and the Seneca County Board of Supervisors.
Have a second for this motion?
Second.
Second. Discussion.
I think it pretty much speaks for itself. I mean, it addresses what Ms. Samuels spoke to earlier. It kind of flies in the face of Local Law 3 that Seneca Falls has on the books to ask for an expansion that goes beyond 2025. So I think this is the appropriate thing to ask the DEC not to consider that application tonight.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's just, if they're given an expansion that allows them another 12 years of lifespan, that's another 50 at 6,000 tons per day, which is the rate that they're allowed now under the host community agreement. That's another 26,280 million tons, or 52,560 million pounds between 2025 and 2037. There are, we're surrounded by municipalities for whom landfill is not their lifeblood. We've got to start getting away from this. Whatever our economic answers are, it's wise spending, it's probably some kind of a tax increase, it's finding other sources. We cannot lock ourselves into 12 more years of New York City garbage being dumped on our community. 99% plus is from outside Seneca Falls. That's what's there now. We cannot be the garbage answer for New York State any longer. We are right now, and it's got to stop. So I didn't know until we received the notice of the expansion request that this was going to become an issue right here, right now. But it has to be. And if you read the paper, you'll know that other communities, Geneva right now, hopefully tomorrow night, will pass a similar resolution, simply objecting to this expansion as the future for Seneca Falls, for the Finger Lakes, for this region. It's got to stop, and this is the first place to go.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. No. Mr. DeLeus? Dave? Dave? Dave, can you hear me? Dave, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Did you hear that? Did you hear the resolution?
Yeah, I got
Okay. We took a vote. I need your vote, please.
Yes.
Okay. So that resolution is carried 3-2 to move that forward. I think it's appropriate on my part to let you know why I voted no. Okay. We have a local law on the books that everybody tells me is going to close the landfill in 2025. So if that's the case, this is redundant. We've had 2025 4 years away. We just turned the calendar on 2021. Okay. My perspective from day one, there's a lot bigger issues that we have to be focusing on, and there's going to be plenty of time to focus on 2025 and the closure of the landfill. If local law 3 is still on the books in 2025, then somebody's going to say that landfill is going to close. My personal opinion is only my personal opinion. I don't think the state of New York will ever let that landfill close, unfortunately. But that's just my personal opinion. It means nothing to anybody, okay? I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm not trying to do anything. It's a landfill, and as Mrs. Sandler said, I've said it on record, I wish it wasn't there, but it is there, okay? And until somebody comes up with a solution on how the world is going to get rid of solid waste, then a landfill is a necessary evil until somebody comes up with a better solution. And I've had this discussion with multiple people. Moving my solid waste to Pennsylvania or to North Carolina or to Alaska or to Long Island Sound and dumping it in the ocean does not solve the environmental problem. It does solve the problem that garbage coming to the town of Seneca Falls if the landfill is closed, okay, if. And just to remind everybody, the DEC, that we have not issued SMI a permit for the 2020 year. And as far as I know, for some reason, they are still collecting garbage. Okay? Hang on. Hopefully you've been in contact with the DEC, Councilman Churchill. Something you said you were going to do. Hopefully you're going to give us some type of report saying why the DEC continues to allow Seneca Meadows to operate when they don't have a permit from the town and the smell is an issue. Okay, I'll be waiting for that at some point in life.
Well, you know, I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Farrar, because I think what we also should do is charge David Howe to contact the DEC on our behalf and ask how we should be proceeding given this expansion application. You know, what discussions we might start having with the DEC regarding the closure in 2025.
Okay.
But I think that should be done through council.
Well, 3 months ago you said you were to go there, but okay, I can do it through council.
Well, I don't have the minutes from 3 months ago, so I
If you wanted me to do it through, council, I would have done it a long time ago. I can do it through council.
Well,
We did meet with David earlier in the year about the SMI permit and his opinion.
it's probably time to meet with him again. Since we just got his, we also got a report from him on the appellate action.
The SMI has filed their appeal to the Article
But you know, I gotta ask you the question, how big is too big? I mean, the landfill, if we just, like you said, you don't think it's ever gonna close down. I mean, what does that mean when you make a statement like that? I mean, the landfill itself is, the zoned M2 footprint is, 400 or 500 acres. They're obviously approaching the end of that because they're trying to fill between the mountains. Once they fill between the mountains, if it goes beyond that, where do you see it going? I mean, this side.
When I say never, in my lifetime, okay, I'm sorry.
This side of 414?
I don't know. I think when they run out of land space and when the EPA and the DEC says they've run out of their space, then that's it. But
They've got the property. They own 800 acres on this side of 14. It's bigger than what they bought it for to put another landfill in. In 2003, they tried to get the zoning changed in front of this board, and the board denied it.
Just
Because they wanted to start dumping on the Dove Farm. Right on the doorstep of Frank Knight Elementary School. Is that what we want for this community? You think people are going to live here?
again, that was just my opinion.
Well, I'm giving you my opinion.
And I respect your opinion.
You sit there and go on for 5 or 10 minutes. Give me my 10 minutes. Give Doug his 10 minutes.
Everybody can take 100 minutes. It doesn't matter.
Well, I'm saying. I didn't interrupt you. Now I'm just asking you a few questions. I'd like to get it on record. I mean, how big is too big?
I'm on record.
That's my questions. How big is too big?
When they run out of airspace and the DEC and the EPA closes them down.
Well, the EPA doesn't have much jurisdiction.
You want to debate my answers or do you want my answers?
I'm just saying. I'm commenting on it like you do on everything.
Dave, you got a question?
Dave.
Yes. What before the trailer, 1,600 hours, right?
I'm sorry, Dave.
He's going back to the previous resolution.
Trailer.
Oh, the trailer, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Yes. Yeah, you guys are saying now next year.
Yep. I'm sorry. Okay. Any further comments? Councilman?
No, I'm good. But I think enough is enough. I mean, that's what it is. They are slated to, their permits from the DEC ends in 2025. There's a local law in the book that says it has to close, that there's no way, it doesn't say Seneca Meadows has to close. It's not in there. It says that there is no waste disposal in, essentially waste disposal in the town of Seneca Falls after December 31st, 2025.
And as I said, I respect local law 3. 4 years is a long time away. Things happen. I'm not going to be here in 4 years. You might not be here in 4 years.
Like that.
None of us might not be here in 4 years.
It'll go like that.
Pardon?
It'll go by in a flash.
But local laws can change.
They certainly can.
They certainly can. That's all I'm saying.
That's why it's important to pass this resolution that goes on record, number one.
It's passed.
And it communicates what this board feels in 2021 regarding this action and that landfill. That's a very important statement to make. You can't just sit here and wait till December 31st, 2025.
Why?
Because that's not planning.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And that, again, what I've been trying to emphasize is we need to plan for the closure of the landfill. I've been emphasizing that, okay? And a year has gone by, and there has been no planning for the closure of the
We
landfill.
certainly didn't do it in the last budget cycle, and I don't see it happening today.
It's not just about budget. It's not about
No,
budget.
it's not just
Okay.
about, it's about a lot of.
Councilman Churchill, the people of Seneca Falls need to be informed, okay? Okay, what's going to happen to their garbage? How is it going to be handled? How much is it going to cost? Okay, forget about the host agreement. What's the impact on people's taxes based on now all the garbage that needs to be moved to a different location? Okay, all that has to be examined and presented to the town of Seneca Falls so the people of Seneca Falls can make a decision, okay? An educated decision. I respect all the people that come here and protest the landfill. I respect that 100%. But the people of Seneca Falls need to make the decision, okay? Based on elections. That's how the people of town vote, based on elections. There are 2 more elections before 2025. And the people will speak. Plain and simple. In the meantime, there's a lot of bigger issues in the town of Seneca Falls that need our attention. Yes?
Just curiosity as a resident.
If you speak up, I'll let you speak.
It's the mayor's curiosity as a resident here. Local law covers sector. The smells, all smells, or just the dump?
No, it's not just the landfill. I don't know about local law 3, but there are town codes about odor.
Well, because I smell septic every night at home. I get this funny dust all over my gut. Nobody ever brings up septic. Everything close down to.
You should.
I get more complaints about Scepter from that neighborhood than I do from.
After all these meetings, I never hear anybody bring up anything other than the landfill. No offense, I'm just curious.
It's all.
If
We will have that
Debbie do
discussion.
assessor, it's Debbie who lives here.
I will contact our environmental attorney and try to set up another meeting with the board, and you can move forward. But resolution's been passed. Any further discussion?
Mike, I have to challenge the fact that one of your primary concerns about this is where we're gonna put our garbage. And in order to have a free place to put our garbage, we're willing to accept billions of pounds of New York City garbage. Every municipality around us survives and thrives without a landfill in their yard. So to say that we can't do that we have to be tied to that thing and not to be looking for a way out, which to me you should be doing as supervisor, rather than sitting back and saying, just bring the money. So I disagree on that point. We've got to find a way out of that. And we should be looking for a way out of that. And if there are going to be offsets, and it may cost more, and we're going to have to find a plan where to put our garbage. But we don't have to reinvent that wheel. Every municipality has figured out and has a plan for where they put their garbage.
I couldn't agree with you any more than what you're saying. I'm just saying there needs to be, we need to have a plan, and we need to explain to people what that plan costs, first of all. Okay? And second of all, I am absolutely in agreement about all that, but there's a local law on the books. Local law 3, it's already there. You can't make a local law 3A reinforcing local law 3. It's already there. So, again, I'll state it one more time, my only focus is on the other issues that are confronting the town of Seneca Falls, okay? As far as I'm concerned, local law 3 is in the books, and in 2025, the landfill closes, okay? Now, if a new board is elected and somebody proposes local law 1 of 2022, life has changed, right? But I have no control over that at this point in time. I'm not going to, I'm going to be out of office in 2024, okay? So 2025, a year later, it's not going to be sitting on my desk. Plain and simple. And just, we can get overwhelmed, we can consume the community, and it can be like it's been for the last 15 years instead of focusing on other issues. We have a local law on the books.
Can we move on?
No.
Some of us need our rest.
Well, I'm not going to cut off Councilman Avery. I'm not going to cut off people in the public.
I'm not asking to cut off, Mr. Ray. I think you got it.
If the dump didn't stink and it smelled like cherries, nobody would squawk about it.
No,
You guys want to buy all these fancy equipments and trucks and trailers and this and that. Where do you think the money's coming from? The dump. Let them pay our taxes. You know they're making $6 million a day. Make them pay a little bit more than $3 million a year. You know what I'm talking about? The casino isn't doing anything. Make them pay more money. The dump is here. It's never going anywhere. Somebody's going to have to maintain it after they close and go away. Let them stay here. Who cares? If, like I said, if the dump smelled like cherries, nobody would squawk in this town. Cancer is everywhere, from the depot to the dump. You can blame it on anything you want. Just let them keep building it. Go right up to heaven. Heaven is straight up. Keep them going straight up. As long as it doesn't smell, let them go.
There's air pollution, there's water pollution, there's soil.
Who cares? It's already here.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I'm sure a lot of other people do. But nobody wants to open their mouth.
I care, and I represent a lot of people who care.
Okay.
Okay, as I said, we're gonna keep it, as one of our rules, we'll keep it respectful. Thank you for your, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. The resolution passed 3-2. Common Clerk Greer, you need to take care of that and forward that to those people, please. Thank you. Okay. Discussion, who put that on the agenda? I know. So, we had an informational meeting about Kingdom Road, sewer main. We said we're going to come back in January and we have to start making some decisions. So, we had a couple of proposals, and I guess the one that is recommended by the engineering firm is on the south side of Barrett Street, I believe. Yeah. So, I guess we've had a couple of months to think, and I need some direction on how you want to move forward.
You want a motion to that effect?
Yeah, sure.
I move that we authorize the town engineer to move forward with the plan to bring that sewer line in the south side of West Barrett Street.
And I will second that motion. Discussion.
Yeah, well, here's one thing that's been gnawing at me since we last met, is that the sewer is flowing today, is it not? From wherever to our sewer waste treatment plant. And it's not going down any new line. This whole thing has been in play for 4 or 5 years.
Longer.
Right? Pretty close. So, it hit me, and it's like, well, what are we really fixing? If it's working today, what are we really fixing? 318 isn't developing like I think everybody thought it may, right? Brick and mortar has kind of run its course, and I think even more than it has in the past given COVID. What are we really trying to address? Are the sewer lines overwhelmed? And if they are, where's the evidence of that? I mean, we're getting ready to spend again a few $1 million, and I'm just wondering why we really need to do it, or if we really need to do it.
The sewage is coming in, Peter, help me, the sewage is coming in now.
Yeah.
But it's not working.
It's not?
No.
Where's it going?
Well, I mean, but the system that we have in place is not working. Every time we get a big rain event, we get overflow at the Ovid Street Bridge. We get overflow the EQ tank. That's another story and a separate,
Yeah, I mean, equalization
resolution. But it's also overtaxing the Fall Street gravity sewers.
And the pump station
And
is in.
the pump station.
But
And the
we've
fact
also-
that it stinks at Kinney's.
But we've also, over the last few years, mitigated a lot of the inflow of outside water by relining a lot of our sewer lines, right? So we shouldn't have the big rain event should be a less impact today than they were 2 years ago. Is that fair to say?
They're less. I think that is an accurate statement. There's two sources. There's still an inflow component that is, we believe there's a lot of private sources that are still in town that are hard to chase down because of town code. Regarding I guess specifically the Kingdom Road force main, That force main, that's 1960s vintage, it's an asbestos cement pipe, that has failed a few times over the town. It's expensive, it's costly, it's really on its last leg. That's, first and foremost, that's been the primary driver, is to replace that force main, and
That pipe is eroding in zone.
Now, where is that?
this is the force main.
Force main, we'll just say it dumps in by Rumsey and Fall Street. So that line is AC pipe,
AC pipe.
and it's eroding from inside. So let's say it was this thick when you started, you know, it's probably that. And it's broken about 8 years ago.
That can't be relined?
Oh,
I don't think it's big enough anyway.
We
Technically.
looked at relining it, there's, to reline the pipe because of the condition, you would almost have to effectively replace that line. And that then becomes, now you take an 8-inch pipe, turn to a 6-inch pipe. Now you can't get as much water through there, so
So,
now you've got
now
restriction.
how long is that pipe? Where did it go from?
It's basically the Kingdom Road, so Ballsy Road,
Kingdom
and it
Road.
merges to,
Rumsey Street.
Rumsey Street.
It's on, under 5 and 20.
Yes.
So that's
It
what
does
really-
need repair, so that is first and foremost the driver, is replacing that. The development along 318, you know, which essentially flows to Del Lago, Water Well, and the service area, those are the three big players, there's opportunities there. Certainly, that's part of it, so there's, you know, there's capacity that comes in with that new pump station on that end. But there's certainly it's a significant issue waiting to happen with respect to that force main. There's no guarantee on how long that force main will last. Certainly, it's not gonna last, I would not be comfortable saying this force main is gonna be in good condition in 3 or 5 years or 10 years. We don't know, it could be tomorrow, it may last, but the cost and the impacts of fixing that are significant if you have to rip up 5 and 20.
And there's, now as I drive up 5 and 20, Fall Street, well, what it is, I mean, Fall Street has, Joe, I mean, can you tell me how many repairs there are in Fall Street between, say, the Gould Hotel and Seneca Falls Machine? I mean, there's,
You mean to that sewer main?
well, where you've had.
Or water mains? Oh,
This
yeah.
and that, I mean, that road's getting pretty beat up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would think this, you know, again, I think the option to get the state involved really should be looked at
I
hard.
thought we were just told that they have no plans to.
I don't know, did we ask them? Who asked them?
Yes.
The state, yeah, but if they went to repave that, the state doesn't own that force main, so if they, they would repave the road, certainly, but there would be they would not replace that, and even with that, again, we look at that look forward, so we made projections, again, for, it's somewhat of a crystal ball with respect to what's gonna happen on the 318 and 414 corridor, but there's also the Seneca Falls Commercial District too, so again, you're looking for that, let's break out in 2021, the economy comes back, and now there's growth again. So right now, there's really no capacity for any new users, any significant new users to kind of tie into that force main. So the specter is if a large, it's build and they will come kind of scenario. If a large user on 318 decided to come in, the town would then be effectively have to say no, and that's also, there's an agreement with the county as well. So a lot of decisions were made based on economic development and, providing that capacity. It also helped with respect to replacing the failed infrastructure first and foremost was the driver for that project, for this project.
So you can't horizontal drill under Fall Street, 5 and 20, along the edge of 5 and 20?
It would be extremely expensive. So part of that is where we, with those projected flows, we're not dumping into that Rumsey Street. We have to go past, we have to go almost all the way to Walnut Street, because the current flows, the sewer from Rumsey Street down, I think the Walnut Street, it's a limited sewer. There's a larger sewer past that on Fall Street, so hydraulically, there's not capacity to handle flow beyond really what's hitting that right now. That's part of it. So that was, I think when we had that presentation, I think in either November or December, that was kind of a scenario that had been looked at early on, And, that predated my involvement with the project. And then we revisited just to kind of talk about those four options four options we looked at.
What are we talking money-wise?
I mean,
I think our initial, we were up to 1.8 maybe, or?
Well, I think right now that South Baker Street project or configuration, I believe, is about 2.5 million.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. On the south end.
Yes.
So the project will be paid for just floating public bond, or?
Don't know. We would apply for grants, right, Emily?
Yes, so for the Kingdom Road station, you're looking at two potential grant sources. One being Water Quality Improvement Project and also the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act. Those are scheduled to come out during the CFA, which is of May. It did not happen this past year. All fingers are crossed that it will come out this year. But again, we have to apply and we have to get the funding.
How much are the grants?
The grants will be, because they play off of each other, you can get, I've written a number of these and I've gotten multi-millions for each of the communities I've worked for. It depends on the work, it depends on the match, it depends on violations, there's a little bit in there. And then if you get the WQIP, if say you got the WIA first and then you apply for WQIP, WIA will adjust to, it will subtract the funding you got from the WQIP and then only give you a little bit less. So it's very difficult to say exactly how much. And it will depend on the project cost.
Yeah, historically, we have been 25% of the cost. That's what the town has a WIA grant on the sewer project we're doing. That was a $3 million project, is about $740,000-ish, is what the town's current WIA grant is.
Yep, and this
so
is
that's,
wastewater.
so that, they haven't announced the program yet. That WIA program's been ongoing for several years. It's always been about 25% of the grant. There's EFC offers financing too, which the town had a hardship grant on the sewer project. Currently, they're not eligible for that, but you can always apply and see if there's, other funding sources out there that would kind of help on the public bond.
Well, in this case, and with the culvert, if we decide we move forward first,
I'm sorry?
we move forward first and then we go after this grant funding?
Well, I think the Kingdom Road project, when it was initially, and this is going back a few years ago, the town had set aside reserves for funding that project. I don't know what, I know there's currently
There's some money there, but there's not what you're thinking.
Yeah,
There's some money left over from Del Lago contribution to the 318 or the 414.
There's not much.
There's not a significant amount. I think there's, I want to say $150,000. It's not a significant amount of money. And we already have the pumps for the Kingdom Road pump station.
Well, the proposal that Peter gave us, if you remember, was to totally replace that with a new system, correct?
The pump station that sits over on Oak Street, that was part of that 414 project.
Prefab pump station.
Yeah, we have that.
We have the pump.
Yes, we have the pump station.
This largest pump station there, there's still a cost to set the pump station, and then the bulk of the remaining cost is that pipe. It's about 9,000 feet of pipe that would be installed down across the canal, go across the canal, and then down.
Well, today's question though, so can we apply, can we wait to see if we can get some money before we move forward on the project?
I would not, I think they should move forward parallel. I would absolutely, you should chase the money, but the project needs to happen. And that's my question. Yeah. That's our advice. It's a thin wall pipe. There's no time. Certainly it's something that would be significant if that failed. Now there's essentially all of West Seneca Falls you would have an issue because it's a long force main, so it's hard to really get in there and actually bypass that. Bypass that water when it happens. You don't have the ability to kind of pump from one manhole to another. You've got to pump 5,000 feet, and it's a significant emergency cost, if that fails.
You know, depending on grants, the board would have to make a decision if you use reserves or if you bond it. And that would have to be the decision we'd have to make and, you know, figure out through our bonding system how much it would cost.
Does this require public hearing?
Public hearing for what? To move forward on the project?
Concerns about the project, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, but there's bonding, but as far as moving ahead with moving ahead, looking to, you know, begin the process of doing the project, it doesn't need a public hearing, right?
Correct.
So we have gone through seeker. That currently seeker would need to be amended with new projects. So that would be, it's not a public hearing obviously, but there's certainly that the town board we'd have to go through essentially it's an amendment, so the town board would notify the interest involved agencies, which would be DEC, Army Corps of Engineers, whoever else would be impacted by that. You know, we'd have to go through and re-amend that, and then any kind of, Pat mentioned any kind of bonding certainly would be subject to the, you know, we'd have to develop a master plan that would identify the cost of the project, the plan of finance, and then how those costs are going to be, you know, where's that money coming from? Is it coming from existing reserves? Is it coming from the existing sewer fee that does have built in some reserves? Or is it coming from a raise, you know, an increase in the rates? Typically, who benefits from the project? In this case, it's West Seneca Falls.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any more discussion?
I'd like to know where the money's coming from before I can approve, unfortunately.
I don't know where the money's going to come from, Steve.
Well.
Hopefully through grants, but I
Did we make
can't.
that decision here tonight as well?
How can we make the decision if we don't know what grants we're going to get? So
Well, then maybe
are we
we
saying
can
worst case scenario, $2.5 million, worst case scenario? Would you like to know where that money's coming from?
We could agree that we're going to put it out for bond the project. We could make that decision tonight, whatever that bonding is. I don't think if we deplete our reserves, I don't think that's a smart move. It's going to be a potentially expensive project. I've been down the road of saying, okay, we're going to get grant money, and then you don't get the grant money, and you're left holding the bag. So the other option we have is to apply for the grants, go after the grants now, and then wait to see what we get, and then make a decision then.
To me, we've been kicking this can down the road for so long, I mean, it's laughable. We just, as Peter said, there's secret work to be done, there's work to be done if we simply decide to move forward.
Yeah,
Those decisions, and maybe, you know, once we face the choices financially, then, you know, maybe the decision will have to be to wait till we get grant money. But for right now, let's just get moving.
I'm pretty sure you can answer this better than I can. If we approve this tonight,
There's a lot.
shovel in the ground wouldn't happen until 2022, most
There's
likely.
a lot that
right?
needs to happen, yeah. It's seeker, it's essentially redesigned the project because we have most of that project designed, but that south side of Bayard Street was, you know, we kind of advanced based on prior board decisions, we advanced through the Eco Trail. So probably about half of that force main. So it's seeker, it's a design, that, as we've talked about, that Bayard Street option does require a lot of just upfront investigation to kind of make sure we're avoiding, you know, we're doing the project, we're not impacting utilities, we're not, you know, so we're not, you know, basically we're avoiding all the utilities. We do this, so there's a pretty hefty design effort there, just more in the investigation than the actual design. And then it's permitting. So we are, even though we're not going down Louis Eco Trail, we do have some wetlands impacts near the canal. So there's a wetland permit, so that, you know, permitting 3 to 6 months based on, you know, this is a pretty
Permitting
simple
across the
process.
canal.
Yeah.
You know, another issue is that we're reviewing what engineering firms we're going to be going forward with, and we talked about potentially making this decision in February. So.
Not potentially, we will be making a
All right,
decision.
so we might not even be working with B&L in February.
It might not be, but I think we.
So I don't think we want to authorize them to, all right, let's get going on this massive project, and oh, by the
I'm
way.
not saying, I don't think the motion is to instruct B&L to get going on this project, okay? I think we agreed that if any project, whoever the town whatever the project is, then we are going to put that up for bid with engineering firms.
Sure, but if you get a different engineering firm in there, they're gonna look at things differently. They're gonna wanna look at it fresh. I mean, the whole thing. They're, right, they're gonna wanna explore the options and give us what they think we should do. I don't know how we can commit to B&L or commit to their proposal, which is essentially what we're doing, if they may not be here 60 days from now.
They'll be here in the capacity, if they're not the town engineer, the capacity to bid on the project.
I would like to propose that we table this until February when the decision of what engineering firm is made.
So hypothetically, what would be different if B&L was not the town's engineering firm? What would be different in this scenario?
I don't know, that's the thing. I mean, I don't have the answer to that. And if there is, I mean, why are we even looking for another engineer if there isn't potentially other answers? If there aren't other options? I mean, what are we thinking about getting? Just a cost savings?
Yep.
That's the only sole basis?
If all the players are equal status, yeah, a cost savings.
Well, I don't buy that at all.
Cost savings not important?
I've been involved in projects at the county level where we got rid of engineering firms, but we didn't like the engineering. We didn't like the proposal. We didn't like the looks. We didn't like the feel of it.
I agree. As I said, all things considered equal, if we think that engineering firm A, B, and C are qualified and do things in the local, and they have a good resume, then we
But
can
they might have a completely different take on this project. That's all I'm saying. We don't know that. I'm not an engineer.
That's what they're gonna do.
Well, I'm not an engineer either.
I made a motion. Is there a second? The table till February?
Okay. So, without any further discussion, I think, all in favor of, can you read back Councilman Avery's motion?
How many pages back is it?
That was
Motion authorizing the town engineer to move forward with the plan to bring to bring the project to the south side of Bear Street.
So we have a motion to begin the process of looking at the Kingdom Road Kingdom Road sewer line and moving with recommended action of on the south side of Bear Street. And a second. And discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm going to oppose. It's too vague.
That's carried 4-1. So, what I will be doing then is I'll be sitting down with B&L and I need to get my hands around some things here, but as I said, the design portion of this project, of any project, will be solicited. We'll figure, whoever comes up with the best options and prices. We have a resolution, water and sewer purchase repair parts for services. The town of wastewater needs to purchase repair parts for water surface. We received 2 bids for the parts, with the low bidder being T-Mina Supply in Rochester for $3,383. Can I have a second for this motion, please? Second. Any discussion? Any questions for Mr. Tullo? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. So carried. Resolution, the town water wastewater department purchased Grundlemat boring tool. The department has lost their boring tool under gravel road due to poor soil conditions. Whereas we received 3 bids for the boring tool, with the low bidder being TT Technologies in Aurora, Illinois, for $5,688. Can I have a second for this resolution, please? Second. Any discussion?
We lost it?
We lost it.
We're gonna find it, but we need
We're
another
going to
one
find it in
now.
the spring.
We're gonna find it in the spring.
This was an attempt to, what they normally do is
That's under
shoot
the
the boring tool underneath the road, so you don't have to dig up the road. They were trying to connect a customer to our water service, and they lost it. But anyway, Joe, we needed another one anyway, correct?
We needed another one anyway. So we got, this one's a little bigger, and then when the ground stiffens up, and, well, it won't be stiffer in the spring, but we're gonna dig across the road and find it. But I talked to Highway Superintendent for the county, and we didn't want to dig it up now and have cold patch in there and have somebody catch a plow in that during this time of year. But we needed this other one for emergencies.
This comes out of budgeted funds?
It was not budgeted for, but I checked with Bev and we have plenty of money in the overall that,
So it comes out of reserves?
I don't know if it's, you call it reserves, but yeah, for more intensive purposes, yeah.
It comes out of the water and sewer.
Water and sewer
reserve
accounts. But yeah, contingency. Yeah, not reserves, contingency. Same thing, different word.
Okay. Any further questions?
Steve, is that on the top of those, does it have the info that you wanted on the resolutions?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
forget what you wrote up
little
there.
bar that would stand out that it's from your department, just so they can identify the department.
Okay, so I just want to make sure it's
Makes it a
there.
little easier.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Resolution, water sewer purchase pickup budgeted item. The town water wastewater department would like to purchase F-250 pickup with utility bed and plow. The department will replace a 2010 Colorado to be placed on Auctions International with 110,000 miles. Received 2 bids from the state bid concession program from Shepherd Ford, Canandaigua, Van Bortle Ford of East Rochester. The low bidder was $42,650. Be it resolved that the town board are authorized the purchase of this truck from Van Bortle Ford for $42,586. Second for this, please.
Second.
Thank you. Local Ford dealers not on the state bid
They're
list?
not on the state bid.
Thank you. Did you check with the local?
I believe we have.
Huh?
I believe we have.
And not competitive?
They don't even, I don't believe they could even come close. It's probably a 20-something%. If a contractor bought this truck, it would probably be over 60 or more. I don't know the exact number, but I could get it for you.
Any other questions?
So this is the truck that was budgeted 35,000 for, or 37?
No, this is the new year.
All right, so this is fully budgeted.
Yes, this one actually is fully budgeted, but that money from the other truck will go, it should go into either the pickup line or equipment when we receive the check for the other one.
All right.
But yeah, I believe there's enough in the line. If it's
Do
not,
you know how much we budgeted for this truck?
I want to say it's right around the same as what the price is, but if it's not, it's real close.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Again, I want to authorize the town clerk to advertise for alternate positions for planning, zoning, and HPC. All right. I make a motion? Sure. I make a motion that the town clerk advertise for alternate positions for planning, ZBA, and HPC. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay. We have a resolution introducing proposed local law and providing for a public hearing. Whereas the town board of the town of Seneca Falls believes that it would be advantageous to the town to amend the town code as it relates to the parking of motor vehicles along West Carriage Street in the area of intersection with Bridge Street. The proposed law number 4 of the year 2021, local law amending section 280-18. The same is hereby introduced before the town board. Be it further resolved that the copies aforesaid be laid on the desk of each member of the board. Be it further resolved that the town board will hold a public hearing on said proposed law 6 o'clock on February 2nd, 2021. Be further resolved that the town clerk publish or cause to be published a notice of said public hearing in the local official newspaper of the town at least 10 days prior. Have a second for this, please?
Second.
Thank you.
So Mike, if I can chime in here,
Sure, I thought you went to bed, but yeah.
know about it. But, you have the language of the proposed local law is then attached to the resolution in everybody's packet. And speaking with the chief and our highway superintendent, there are a couple of things in that same section that we think we can clean up, really just by removing some language regarding Keith Street, which is right over Fall Street by Gould's, and then Oak Street in the area of the old Romeo's along the railroad tracks. So there will be a further version of this local law amending this section that I'll distribute to everybody, all the board members, probably, within the next day or so, and then we can go forward at the next board meeting with the public hearing.
Thank you. Just to give a little background here, I've been approached with Pat, and after further discussions, this pertains to the new businesses that reopened in the Seneca Street District. Right now, in front of the Berry Street Donuts and Padula Liquor on the Berry Street side, that's municipal parking, even though it's off the main drag. It is municipal parking. We're responsible for that. So what has happened over time, because that business wasn't in operation, it's unlimited parking there by the neighbors, okay? And the same thing applies going down past the intersection of Bridge Street in front of Seneca Street Markets is unlimited parking. It's municipal, but people who live in the apartments are parking there, even though they have parking in the back where they can park their vehicles. So we're proposing to put 30-minute parking in front of Padula's and the Donut, and we're proposing 2-hour parking in front of Seneca Street Markets. These businesses are open, and their customers have no place to park, and these parking areas were meant for businesses, not for residents to park their cars. It's one thing when the businesses weren't open, but now they're open, and there's a need for this to protect our new businesses and provide their customers adequate parking. So that's where this all started.
Stu and Pat, you weren't privy to this, but in our highway committee meeting, we talked about this, and there was also I suggested that maybe we look at Bridge Street as well, simply while we're there and while we're doing this. Maybe those parking spots on Bridge Street between Barrett Street and the canal, maybe there needs to be a 1-hour limit there too.
Well, there's
Or
also,
something.
yeah, I agree. And there's also parking on the south side as well, and I don't know if that's municipal.
South side of Barrett Street?
Yeah.
That's going to be, this is for both sides.
That's both sides,
It'll
okay.
be 2-hour parking.
Okay.
Okay, but I think Doug's referring to going south on Bridge Street
Right,
from the intersection.
Toward the bridge. Those diagonal spots. I mean, just clean up the parking in the Sackett Street district while we're doing it. Let's do this once and do the whole thing.
So we don't have to have a local law 7, 8, and 9 of 2021.
Right, and when you proposed that, that's when I looked at the section and noticed there's other sections that need to be cleaned up as well, so it just makes sense to do it all at once.
So if you could do that, please, and Chief, you and Pat, communicate with Pat on that for me, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some more information than, it wasn't very clear. So if
Doug, if I can translate for you, Pat, Doug was looking, we're just looking at, while we're doing this, let's do it all, look at all the parking in the Sackett Street district. So on Bridge Street, on the west and east side of Bridge Street, going south on Bridge Street, looking at that parking too, and if that needs to be included as far as 2-hour or whatever, 1 hour type of thing, you know what I'm saying? That's all. Okay? Okay. Yes, sir. Charlie?
You might consider for the employees of the business are in a park while they're working there.
Consult with the employees, you mean?
Consider the employees who are working at these businesses where they're going to park. So just a
You want to support the business.
Yep, absolutely.
Rather than any restaurant would say, you know, the employees are gonna park somewhere else because the customers are gonna have those parking spots.
So, Jim Peterson brought up a good point that was done a few years ago, is that lot that was kind of mutual agreement between the Hall of Fame that was going to be a municipal lot. There's also going to be parking available in there for employees and such, so I think when all is said and done, there'll be plenty of parking for everybody.
And they would have no objection to that. I know that I've talked to them about this, and they would have no objection, nor would they dare to have any objection to that. But anyway, and we built that lot. Jim built that lot. So, yeah, even though it's on their property. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Under any other new business, I just have one thing before we, well, I have two things. Boy. I gave you guys code red information. If you want to please take a look at that between now and next month. David, I'll give you your copy. I think Steve, you were the one that, or Doug, I can't remember, we're looking for some notification system to notify our residents in case of an emergency, boil water order, evacuate order, sewer main break, water main break, et cetera, et cetera. So with the help of Kim, this is the only thing I could find, and it's very self-explanatory, it's very inexpensive, but something to take a look at if you're interested in doing. It works off an app, basically, and we'd have to have our citizens download the app for free, but once they have the app, then we can reach out and notify them about how much spending. Take a look at that. Okay? Doug, I hate to blindside you here, but I have to. Doug and I and Joe have been working with a couple of vendors looking at replacement of water meters in the village, or basically the old village town, to update our technology. There's a lot of things that, a lot of reasons. The technology is antiquated, the loss of water, the replacement of meters, et cetera, et cetera. And Doug, I'm blindsiding you because when I was meeting with Emily a little earlier, now I'm going to throw it back to Emily for a minute. Emily?
Definitely my fault, Doug. Definitely my fault.
Can you take one for the team?
Oh, I will take it. Take it for Jim. This is good news. It's a Green Infrastructure Grant Program, also called as GIGP program, focused on green infrastructure. And originally that kind of focused on things such as permeable pavement and rain barrels and efficiency that sometimes caused a project to actually be more expensive. It was environmentally friendly perhaps, but so you're weighing some odds. What has never happened, and I get asked by every community, is funding for water meters. And the GIGP program came out with a category for water meters. So I brought this to the supervisor's attention at 5:30 at our meeting. We discovered this today. This is a huge issue for upstate New York, older infrastructure. And so just something that I was like, oh my goodness, water meter installation, water meter replacement, water meter retrofit, water reuse. I have a call with the agency tomorrow, so it would be great to get me, be able to drop town of Seneca Falls in that call and start talking to you guys about that and your needs. And it sounds like you guys have done a lot of this work already of getting these vendor quotes, so we can include that and hopefully then maybe get some funding towards it.
That's great. I mean, we've talked to two vendors, and both of them have shown us how, on paper at least, the project pays for itself. I know there's upfront cost. The cost in savings of eliminating waste, which is why, I guess, why it shows up in the grant quote, will ultimately, over time, pay for itself for the town. How we get it to actually realize those savings is still a concern of mine. but this would certainly help the process. And even if we break even, I mean, to eliminate the waste is a good thing. So I see us moving ahead. I still have more questions, but definitely, absolutely.
And the other thing is that this grant is due, of course, in T-minus 5 weeks.
Okay.
So I'll have to, work with you guys to, if you give me the go-ahead, like we'll start on it, and then also, however you guys want to handle that, but you'll see a letter of support resolution coming through, and we'll want to move on it quickly to make sure that we have a really strong application, because I can assure you, every community in this area is going to be applying for this grant, because it's a good one, it's incredible.
It's about a $2 million project, I think. If I remember right, it's not cheap. But as Doug mentioned, it's they're salespeople, don't get me wrong. But if you look at the numbers conservatively, it's something that you make up the money in the matter of not losing water, leaks. You notify them right away. Meters that are antiquated, that don't measure correctly, et cetera, type of thing. So what we will do, between Doug, I, Joe, we're going to have to probably get together again quickly, pick the vendor, and then share with the board, the other board members, exactly what we're talking about. Okay?
And you may or may not be able to have to do
Right. May not move forward, but start
Yeah.
looking into it. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, one of the things you'll hear us do in a few minutes is approve these water credits. And these are people their house sprung a leak for some reason, and sometimes it's a lot of money. And hopefully, these new meters and the way they work would cut that off when it initially happens. And so there wouldn't be a $2,000 water credit being offered by someone, or being asked for by someone, or more.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, any other new business for the good of the order? Okay, make a motion to provide credits in the total of $2,860.56 for the leak credit code that is one-time credit. These people will not be able to apply for a credit in the future. Have a second for that, please? Thank you, David. Second by David. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Again, this is $2,860. I think last month was $6,000. I think it's with this technology, as Doug mentioned, a leak would be detected and relayed to the water department, and we would know exactly. So people can't come to me and say, this is leaking, that's leaking. It would detect unusually high usage in a matter of an hour. So it's great technology, but
Right now,
it's not cheap.
They don't see it for a quarter. They don't see it for 3 months.
90 days, yeah.
But as I said, I brought it up now because the grant would be unbelievable. Okay. Do I have anything else here?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta pay the bills. Is this something that I? No? Yeah? Let's just pay the bills. That's bills. Got it. All right. Make a motion that we pay the bills, please. Second by Mr. DeLeus. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any need to go into executive session? I do kind of, but not tonight. And have a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, David, thank you.